what time it is, baby. It's time for the Fifth Stripe Podcast. We're gonna do it to you inside your ear hole.
All right, everybody. Welcome once again to episode 3 of the Fifth Stripe Podcast. As always, we'd like to give a shout out to our sponsors. First and foremost, we got Saloon Door here.
Hey,
serving up tasty beverages to keep us hydrated and giggly a bit, I guess. And
terrific.
Keep Alan playful. Also give a shout out to JustKeyPants.com, Professor Brandon.
6-month guarantee, always free shipping. Check it out.
That's a sweet deal.
It is.
It's a great deal.
That's incredibly
as far as I know, it's the only one that exists. I could be wrong, but as far as I know,
yeah.
Well, we're not.
We'll do it.
That's terrific.
We're not here to.
You know, I ripped my pair of gi pants from Just Ski Pants. No questions asked. A replacement was in the mail at my door in 3 days.
That's very fair.
Hold up. So you're saying if I live in Montana, how much is shipping?
$0.
California?
Oh my
$0.
goodness.
Alaska?
$0.
Well, no, I mean Alaska. Clearly, he's going to charge Alaska.
So just to be clear, so it's free shipping in the continental United States. Outside of the continental United States, you apply the shipping, which is about $7.50, to your shipping cost. So if you're going to ship to Puerto Rico, you're going to get $7.50 off that shipping charge.
That is extremely generous.
Very
Professor,
generous.
what if it's in
goodness.
France?
We ship to France.
Yeah.
We've done it already.
Hey, Fionn Davies, the new Welsh female black belt. I heard that she likes JustKeyPants.com. I heard that.
No way.
I heard that.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I heard that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think I saw it on Instagram.
Oh, no way.
She's terrific.
What do you mean? She like posted with a picture or something?
I'm just saying I heard it.
For real?
Yeah.
That's great, man.
Pretty sterling.
Eddie Bravo brought it up on one of his podcasts just when it first came out.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
That's it.
We also have another sponsor.
Oh, 3 sponsors. Goodness gracious. 3rd episode, 3 sponsors.
Third Coast Grappling.
Oh, and a third 3.
Have in the
Correction.
tonight.
Third Coast Grappling Championship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Third Coast Grappling.
Actually, just to make a correction, the Third Coast Grappling Championship is for our events, but Third Coast Grappling is our apparel or lifestyle brand.
Oh.
So just to correct the record.
Oh, fuck you then.
So
No problem. I'm here all night.
His name is Brandon, not Record.
So okay.
Did I call him Ricky?
Let me correct myself. Oh wait, I don't need to. Third Coast Grappling, and we have Ryan McGuire here in the house. He's going to be talking to us about some upcoming events. But before we get to that, we want to do a little shout out to our Saloon Door sponsor here, Mr. Austin Weber, who has graciously, if you've listened to the last 2 podcasts, you may have heard some sick ass beats at the beginning, leading us into this mess game that we're doing.
It's musical styling.
They were dripping with bounce. I loved it. But Mr. Austin Weber has been making our intro beats, and it's not because he was like, "Hey, I'm going to give this a try." He's got a proficient hip hop MC background.
So I was a lawyer a long time ago. If we've trained together or we met or whatever, you probably heard me talk about it.
Excuse me. In which class in law school did you go over hip hop?
Well, entertainment law. Specifically, I represented the estate of DJ Screw.
Good answer.
So that was pretty terrific.
That's a great answer. Did you really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did he get screwed?
That's fucking amazing.
Next question is...
So that's Alsta Haley, right? He was the bassist for a band called Spirit. They toured with Zeppelin in the 70s.
It's a great name.
And then he represented Blue October, Justin Furstenfeld. He was my mentor. He taught me about the entertainment law game. He represented the estate of DJ Screw, represented the estate of Stevie Ray Vaughan, actually. Represented the guy that wrote Pretty Woman with Roy Orbison. That was a co-written song.
What made you get out of entertainment law?
Let's see. How do I put this delicately?
No, don't put it delicately. Be direct.
I'm the wrong religion to have a career in entertainment law.
Oh, you should be Jewish.
I didn't say that.
Well, let's be honest.
I would never, ever in a million years say that.
You should just
Why
not
would you
care,
say that?
right?
Yeah. But I didn't fit the mold, right? So ethnically, I am, right? So
you ever think about changing your name?
No.
Goldstein has a great ring.
Yeah. So I went and I was very fortunate to work at Universal and in A&R and in licensing and all these sorts of things. I had a great time. I lived in Manhattan. I worked at a record company. Dream job. Terrific.
I'll tell you what, we got some interesting motherfuckers on this podcast.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah,
that's why we share them.
So the first time I lived in New York, right? And my one regret is that I didn't go train at Henzo's, right? Because I didn't do jiu-jitsu in those days. So I worked in New York at a record company, and I had been a musician for my whole life. I started taking piano at 4. And so when you have played music for this long, you have an ear for music. At first, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And so I thought, what a good way to break out of being a lawyer is to be a famous rap producer.
Seems logical to me.
Yeah, I mean, why not, right?
Well, it's the common step usually.
Yeah, so if DJ Mustard can do it, if Ray Strimman can do it,
is that a real name?
Yeah.
DJ Mustard?
Mustard on that beat. Oh,
You probably
yeah. So
Who is his PR guy? Because that name
Professor
sucks.
Brandon, he's not on A-Track, so
yeah. Oh.
Coach Ricky's a real comedian here.
he's about to go get 3 beers right now from the bar.
Just like I told him in the class, we was trying to make some weak ass jokes. You ought to go work at that Froggy Bottoms, the comedy store where you can the bad comedians teach defensive driving. Check that out, Coach Ricky on Instagram.
Coach Ricky's defense, I mean, he is coming off a stellar A game from episode 2.
He makes me laugh a lot.
Man, he was throwing out
Hey,
some shit.
you know what? I'm not gonna. The comment about Professor Allen getting tired, that was gold. But let's quit living in the past.
That's pretty funny.
You know what I mean? Let's move forward. Let's live in the future. Let's live in the present.
And things that are true, they're true. Hey,
yeah.
fuck
I
it,
mean,
right?
everyone knows you get tired immediately.
Of course.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Now it gets fucked up if I get you and I get tired. Now that's where the problem is, right?
When did you get me?
We'll set the date too.
Yeah, there you go.
You can't make the weight.
Hey, we'll make
15
the fight.
pounds.
We'll make the fight.
Yeah,
we're gonna
You
make a
can't
fight.
make the weight.
I feel like
15
this might be
pounds.
like a Third Coast Grappling celebrity face-off.
They're going to throw the commentary equipment down, and they're going to jump on the mat.
Oh,
and
Jeff
then they're
Weber
just going to
style?
go.
But here's the thing. I don't want you guys to wear... I don't want it to be no gi. I don't want it to be gi. I want you guys to show up in slacks
And your
sport
suit.
coats.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
I'll do that.
It doesn't
It's-
matter.
Look, it's the same way as the hot eating contest with Coach Ricky. You don't got to tell.
Oh,
No.
so
That's a contest where you eat hot stuff.
so we are going to have a hot eating contest.
It's hot stuff. Yeah, spicy.
So
You guys should get a sample of the sun.
so
That
hey,
shit's hot.
listen, guys.
you know what? I'll eat more than Coach Ricky. I don't
So
care.
listen, guys.
You guys should
We
go outside and eat some of that Houston summer.
we are
You
going
guys just heat up some spoons till they're red hot and see who can keep it in their mouth the longest.
I'll beat it.
So,
I'll
hey
beat
guys,
him.
so we are going to
Hot
have
eating contest.
I'll beat him.
a hot eating
All the hot.
contest. We are going to have a hot eating contest. Now, the thing is, Coach Ricky and Professor Brandon do not know the date of the hot eating contest, right? So the day they show up is the day that we'll probably Facebook live stream or
I
some
told
sort.
you, my grandma's from Louisiana. Okay, I know what's up. I've been eating spicy food since I was a little kid.
It doesn't
I've
matter.
been putting jalapeno sauce on black-eyed peas since I was 4. So let's do it.
All right,
Why
so
would you put jalapeno sauce on an album?
That's true.
That's very strange.
Yeah.
Did you listen
Was
to
this-
it
was
after
this-
you put the
Was this
sauce on
pre
there?
or post Fergie?
Yeah. Was it,
Can we move on?
Is this
Yeah.
like
Can
falling
we
up
move
Black
on?
Eyed Peas, or is this
Yeah.
like...
oh, is this like a little
Let's-
after
let's
your
get it started,
time?
Black
Is
Eyed
it
Peas.
like you just they don't? He doesn't know who the Black Eyed Peas are.
I know who the black-eyed peas are.
Are you delicious, Professor Brandon?
What's
Are you
that?
delicious?
No, not.
Burgalicious.
Might need to get out of here.
Ryan, there's a reason you don't have a microphone in front of you. No one wants to hear you talk.
But hey, on that note, why don't we slide them on over, because we want to talk to them about some of this Third Coast Grappling coming up, man. We got
It's just as you said. Now there's a mic in front of me. Do you have anything you want to say?
speak, ask, and you shall
Speak.
receive. But Mr. Ryan McGuire, thank you not only for showing up today, talk about the events you got coming up, but you guys have also been doing a lot of background work for us here at Fifth Stripe that's really been helping us out. And on behalf of everybody here, except for Berto and his, I don't know why he's moving things, I'd like to say thanks.
Oh man, it's no big deal. I mean, a lot of the people at this table helped us, get Third Coast Grappling off the ground. I mean, whether it was Professor Brandon or Professor
BJJ
Coach
consultant.
Ricky, Berto. I mean, Berto competing on it. I mean, Austin sponsoring us from day one. It's a great team effort. So anything we can do to help and get everything off the ground, that's what we're gonna do.
Good, man. That's one of the good things about that you can find in the jiu-jitsu community. You get enough good people around, a lot of people will help each other out. It's a lot of friendships are formed, a lot of bonds are formed, and, it can be helpful and profitable for everybody.
Well, I think one thing that me and Ryan talked about this a minute, before the podcast started, but nobody thought that Third Coast Grappling, the first event, was going to fail.
Except,
No.
No. I
mean,
mean,
let me- hold up.
I mean,
Ryan,
in
we'll hold off on
general,
something.
nobody thought it was going to fail. But I think I can say that everybody was very pleasantly surprised about how professional and how great the first event was. And again, nobody was out there thinking like it wasn't going to work or it wasn't going to come off.
No.
But people were just very surprised at the level that it came off for the first event. Like
Absolutely.
normally you're going to have a lot of
100%.
hiccups. You're going to have all kinds of bad things. And that simply just, Ryan really made it work that very first event. And I mean, you can see it if you watch the live stream. It's very good.
So one thing, being as part of the commentary team with Brandon, Professor Brandon, right? We saw how professional everything was done. And Ryan, I got a question. So we know that everything was set up really well, very professional. What brought you to that, right? Did you, I know you had experience doing, music, right? Concerts and all that.
Yeah, tell us a little bit of that, actually. I don't know about that.
Well, what really brought Third Coast Grappling around is we have been, myself and other parts of the team, we went out to some of these local pro events and stuff like that. And hey, they all have their place. They all, but we saw that there was a way to improve it. There was a way to bring grappling more to the masses, to have your grandma who came to watch so-and-so compete be like, holy shit, this is cool, instead of sitting there falling asleep. So like we wanted to find a way to engage people.
She's 80. She's going to sleep. Doesn't matter what.
My grandma showed up.
So we wanted to find a way to engage people other than practitioners or people that, were into it. Because I think if you're going to grow the sport, if you're going to have things grow outside of what it is now, you need to bring in casual fans. You need to bring in people that don't necessarily train jiu-jitsu. Like with the UFC, they brought in, they started a revolution. They brought in something people never trained before. But you could see people sitting on the couch, sitting there, oh man, if I was so-and-so, I'd have knocked his ass out and all that. We want to bring that feeling to grappling.
Well, so I think one thing that kept it pretty exciting is the rule system. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, actually, Professor Brandon here and myself and the rest of the team, we put a lot of time and effort into developing a unique rule set. We didn't want it to just be submission only. We didn't want it to just be points based. We wanted to make a rule set that made people respect the hierarchy of jiu-jitsu. We wanted to say, hey, we're going to make it exciting, but you're going to take down somebody, you're going to pass their guard, and you're going to get into a dominant position. Or you're going to give up that stuff. You're going to be down 8 points and still have to pull a submission out of your ass. Because the problem with submission only is you'll have 10-minute match of a guy that immediately sits on his ass and is trying to grab a leg for 9 minutes and 50 seconds and then maybe pull it off at the end. With our rule set, you have to respect not only the IBJJF side, but also the submission only side.
And Ryan, you also got the yellow cards, right? I mean, explain a little bit about that.
Well, it's like Pride. Like if you're sitting there and you're stalling, they pull a yellow card. I always thought that was cool. So you get 2 yellow cards. I mean, the next one, you lose 50% of your purse. And I mean, we had a 9-year-old walk out with $900. I mean, you want to lose $450 because you wouldn't get your ass moving?
I think what's important is that, with the rule set is that if you have either extreme, I think everyone who trains jiu-jitsu on a reasonable level and who's watched an IBJJF match, there's plenty of boring points matches. But at the same time, I think a lot of the really, really boring submission-only matches don't get the same sort of coverage in the news. There's plenty of boring submission only matches that happen just as you described. People just kind of laying there doing nothing. And so when you combine the two, the rule system with the submission only, you make things a little bit more open. You take away advantages. You give people a chance to work. It's first person to 11 points. So that's a pretty big margin. I think it allows for everybody, regardless of your style, to come in there and be successful. You can really use your jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. And also to touch on that, I mean, with the submission only, there's like this whole mentality now that, this pure sport of jiu-jitsu is submission only. That's the only way to go. But then the same people that are saying that are wanting to make money. We want more exposure. But when you're watching most submission only matches, I mean, you can get 2 of the, like João Gabriel Rocha versus Gordon Ryan. It had maybe 2 moments that were exciting. The rest of it was 10 minutes of basically just back and forth that, I mean, as practitioners, we can appreciate. But if we're ever going to make the sport cross over, you need to have that in-your-face action. When you're sitting on the couch and you have your friends over to watch the fights, right? And they haven't trained. And they're sitting there and they're like, oh man, that's gay. They're on the ground, but then they see a submission pulled off. They're like, holy shit, that was cool. So my goal was to replicate that experience, but in public. Bring a concert type environment, high energy, a lot of craziness, a lot of fun, but also make submissions the center point of our event. Because people ultimately want to see finishes, or they want to see a dominating performance that results in 11 points.
They want to see jiu-jitsu, right? Sometimes it's a finish. Sometimes it's an amazing scramble or amazing exchange of technique and position. And I think that's the key. You have to be open to both those things, not just the submission, but also, just technical movement people enjoy seeing. Even people who don't train, they can appreciate technical movement.
So you say you kind of want to bring it to the masses. You want other people to gain an appreciation for it. And so we talked a little bit about this in the first episode, the one that Professor Brandon was not here at.
I was here for the first episode. Okay, I wasn't here.
Number 3?
I wasn't here for the second, actually. Okay, because any episode I'm not on is not an official episode.
But we talked about jiu-jitsu going into the Olympics, right? So jiu-jitsu going into the Olympics, I know speaking with Professor Brandon, he was a little against that because it kind of makes it more of a spectator sport. But it seems like that's kind of what you're trying to do as well. Can you talk a little bit about how you would feel if jiu-jitsu was in the Olympics or not?
If jiu-jitsu was in the Olympics, I think it would be the standard IBJJF rule set. And granted, there's going to be some boring matches. There's going to be somebody sitting there and stuck in 50-50, dry humping each other's legs for 10 minutes. I mean, that's just a reality of it. I mean, because jiu-jitsu ultimately is what? It's a game, right? Like it's a game of tactics. You want to be able to impose your game on somebody and force them into different reactions or different situations. But if it's in the Olympics, I don't think it'll ever be the exciting spectator type of sport, because look at judo in the Olympics. Look at wrestling. Wrestling's like my favorite thing to watch in the Olympics, but I don't think
so. The issue, I wouldn't be upset if it's in the Olympics. The issue is when something gets in the Olympics, then you have the IOC dictating the rule set a lot of times. So that's the issue with judo. That's the issue with wrestling a lot of times. I think one of the things that makes Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu unique from those other things is the extended time limit. So, for instance, a black belt match has 10 minutes. So that is enough time that all people can get in there and really use Jiu-Jitsu tactically and strategically. So you cannot just be a superior athlete and, just overwhelm someone for 10 minutes. You can do that for 5 minutes. You can do it for 6 minutes, but you can't out hustle somebody for 10 minutes. So that 10-minute match, the issues with it becoming an Olympic match is they're going to say, well, it's too long. It's too boring. Let's change that. And that's going to change the whole dynamic of the event. You know what I mean? So that's my issue with it. We got to keep that 10-minute time limit very important, I think.
So talking about dynamics, and I know we had the first event back January 13th, right?
January 12th.
January 12th. What I know there's always improvements that we can make, right? So what do you see? What are we making improvements on for the new card on?
Well, first, I would like, one of the improvements I like to see, sorry, Ryan, but this is a question for you, is why I interrupted. Now, we initially sat down and talked about things that we could do, gimmicks, if you would, to make things different. And one of the things that I suggested, which you did not apparently implement, was we need to have a plain clothes jiu-jitsu match. So people come out not in gis, not in no gi, but they have to go to, let's say, Goodwill or whatever and get their own plain clothes, like a suit or whatever, and they have to compete like that.
No, this is going to be the Rooster Way, Professor Allen versus Professor Brandon rule set.
It's done. I already signed.
Oliver, okay, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Everybody listen up, okay?
15 pounds.
Everybody listen. Professor Allen cannot make the weight.
Bro, he's on a meal prep right now. He's been watching No Retreat, No Surrender. He's
on a scale of 0 to 1,000.
Hey guys, what's the movie
his
where
discipline level is -5.
Where's the movie where it's the capoeira, the banana way?
Only the strong.
I've been watching that nonstop.
I got $1,000.
Nonstop.
$1,000. You make the weight, I'll give you $1,000.
He can't make the weight.
It's
Anyways,
on.
Back to
By
the
the way,
question.
but before you get to the question, we need a sponsor from a food prep, because I need to drop these 15 pounds. And who wants to put their
25.
name out there? No, it's only 15. I'm 142. It's 127.
I'm 128, but man, I'm ready.
It is what it is. 15 pounds. Who wants to sponsor?
Just so
it?
you know, Professor Allen, rooster weight is 123.
No, it's not.
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
it is.
Now you get a allowance with the gi, so it's 127.5 with the gi.
I made it.
I'll say it again.
I'll make
you
it.
Cannot make
I'll
the
make
weight.
it. But going back to Third Coast, so we have an event coming up in March. So Ryan, what would you say? What improvements have we made? What changes have we made? And what can we look forward to this new event in March?
Like with our first event, we gave Scout Bar the biggest crowd they've ever had. They've been in business 12 years. We
Really?
had the biggest.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. They had the longest line they've ever had. They had the most people in there they've ever had. And we threw concerts with Papa Roach there, a free show. But we oversold the show
Colby
because
Dick.
we were still trying to, kind of fine tune what would be, what would be good for the venue.
Okay.
And I think one of the biggest takeaways was spectator experience. We didn't want people coming to the next one and leaving saying, hey, I couldn't see somebody. I had a VIP section, but people were standing around me, spilling their beer on me. So we went to extra steps. We've been up there every Friday. We've been measuring the area. We got a whole new configuration set up. We've got 4 projectors that'll be around the venue completely. We have VIP areas at a tiered way. Like you have folding chairs, you have the big tables, and it kind of is like stadium seating for VIP. So the biggest thing that we put effort into was the spectator experience. And people were like, oh man, what about the mat size? The mat size was done intentionally. I get it. It's not some gigantic monstrosity for people to run away from each other for 10 minutes. But when you look at the UFC, and the UFC does a smaller cage versus the bigger cage, the UFC has a lot more finishes. The fights are more exciting. It's because they're forced to engage.
Yeah, I will agree with that. I competed in the first Third Coast Grappling event.
Congrats, by the way.
And,
Hold up. I actually saw people came to see the commentary team
Actually,
live.
Why would you come
100%.
watch someone
Speaking about my
That's true.
fight,
I thought it was
Because it's
just us.
amazing. That's why.
speaking about my fight,
You
I
don't
want to know if
now
you
you know.
added the 11-0 skunk bonus to the bonus array, because the bonus was if you get a submission right, you get a bonus.
Skunk bonus.
However,
Skunk bonus?
I want a skunk bonus because I won 0 to 11.
If it's not called that officially, it should be.
It has to be called a skunk.
I actually really,
You should call it
I
the
really
Pepe Le
like
Pew.
that. I mean, this is the first time I'm hearing it. I'm all about changing.
Like on the memo section of the check, you got to write skunk bonus.
Skunk bonus.
And a little picture of a little skunk.
March 29th, we'll enact the skunk bonus.
You heard it here first, folks. Third Coast Grappling qualifiers. We are going to have the skunk bonus.
But
The Professor Herberto Rivas skunk bonus challenge.
Roberto Rivas, the skunk.
A skunk bonus.
Professor Berto, this is a question for you now. Since you competed, what did you think
You don't have
about
to call him professor. That's your brother, bro.
what did you think
Still
about
professor.
You can call him
still
asshole.
professor.
Call him Professor.
So, what did you think about the whole Third Coast grappling experience?
I thought it was great. I actually am really happy that there's something on this side of the Houston area, because when we're talking about Houston Jiu-Jitsu, it's normally all either downtown area or mostly like Spring, Humble. It's pretty far. So I'm very happy that there's something local for us down here in the southeast section of Houston. And there's a lot of good jiu-jitsu out here, not just, the schools locally here. I mean, schools travel all over the place. So just to see something local where people in this area don't have to drive an hour, because as we all know, Houston is 1 hour away from Houston, right? So
That is the best line ever.
so
Houston is 1 hour away from Houston.
So-
That's so amazing.
so I'm really happy.
Did you make that up?
No, I stole that from a meme.
Okay, because that's amazing.
It's on the internet, Professor.
It's on the interwebs.
We'll explain the internet to you later.
So we're thieves now.
Series of 2.
Yeah.
Is that like a fax machine?
No, we'll
series
pull
of
out
tubes.
a microfiche.
How do I access the internet from my beeper?
You got to go C semicolon backslash
Is that
MS
possible?
DOS slash.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just kidding.
No, that's actually
Yeah.
that's correct.
Yeah, so
hack it, jailbreak
let me jump in here for a second, okay? So I was very blessed to have incredible seats at the event, right? Saloon Door got in early as a sponsor, and so the team, the Third Coast team, gave us basically a 6-top front and center first row. So I mean, you want to talk about, like, I could have reached out and touched Keenan Cornelius's foot.
I don't recommend that.
Yeah, you gotta ask for permission.
I don't recommend
Yeah.
that.
He'd actually probably like it.
I was gonna try and tell,
Like, what would he say if he actually did that?
he'd be like, "Hey man, that's $80.
Don't touch my foot.
Looking
What
is
if he
for
had
free,
fungus?
touching is going to cost you. Probably that'd be my line.
I was very happy that I had a small interaction with him during his fight. I said, hey, channel the blue hair.
And he goes,
And he says, my hair is pink. And I said,
Excuse me, I got to go to the bathroom.
no. And then I said, I know I liked it better when it was blue.
Yeah.
This is all while he was actively fighting
Yeah,
Tex,
he was
by the
in
way.
a fight.
Oh, he was
took the
In
fighting.
the middle of the fight, he
Yeah.
like looked at me and
Yeah.
was like, it's pink.
Yeah.
And I'm
That's
like,
hilarious.
I was like,
That's
I
good.
liked it better when it, yeah,
It was great.
Hey, and speaking of Keenan, we have one of his, one of his prodigies or proteges,
Yeah.
Jonathan Fennell. He's kind of his Uke. He does all the videos on Keenan Online. He'll be in the 180.
Pronounced Uke.
Yeah, did you say
Uke?
Not
okay,
Uke.
whatever. I'm sorry.
It's pronounced Uke.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm trying to be like John Donaher here and use the Japanese terminology for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it's pronounced Uke in Japanese.
Do I look Japanese, Professor Brand?
Kind of.
Slightly. I mean, like a little in the eye.
In a weird kind of way, you may.
A bit heavier.
They don't know that.
A bit heavier.
No.
Yeah. So
But no, yeah.
Normally in Japan, you don't have heavy set people, right?
Well, the sumo.
Look at the Buddha for fun.
You got them.
Look at Buddha. Buddha's a big fellow.
Well, anyways,
Buddha's not Japanese, man.
He's Buddhist.
Yeah, I know he's Buddhist, but he ain't,
But the Japanese people love the Buddha.
so Ryan, we had the event coming in
Well,
March.
hang on. Buddhist Japanese love the Buddha, but Taoist Japanese do not love the Buddha.
See, but I don't see a guy that's like good at transcendental meditation overeating like that either. Like, I'm fairly certain he was probably
No, he's not overeating. He's just doing nothing.
Maybe he was
So he's,
genetically
you know,
predisposed to be
the
obese.
brain.
Who are we talking about?
garbage.
The Japanese, or are we talking about Ryan?
Yeah.
Hey, they both can go in. Hey, there's two.
solid one by Professor.
And you know, he connected very well, but since he's such a ladyweight contender, it was just like a mosquito on my face. I mean, it's no big deal.
So hey Ryan, going back to Third Coast. So March we have March 28th. We have the weigh-ins, right? They're going to be here at Saloon Door, and we have the event March 29th. What can you tell us about the event?
Yeah, I know nothing about it. So.
Well, the event's going to be a showcase of some of the best up-and-coming talent in jiu-jitsu. We're going to have the Tackett brothers.
Okay.
William Tackett just took second at the East Coast Trials for ADCC. And he's one of the best in the game. I mean, these kids are 17 years old. His brother, Andrew Tackett, 15 years old, took out a very well-seasoned black belt that actually competed on our Third Coast grappling card.
Wow.
Against Christian Guzman. It was a very good match. Andrew Tackett, 15-year-old blue belt, took it.
Nice.
So how many? It's going to be for one weight class or different weight classes, or how does it work?
Well, we're going to have two brackets. Purple belt, 180 pounds and below. You can be 115 pounds. You can be, you're in Professor Brandon's ladyweight.
Because we are rooster weights.
Well,
we're in the same level.
It's called rooster. Technically, let's get
Sorry,
technical. It's called
rooster weight, not ladyweight.
It's called rooster.
Chicken weight.
But
Rooster.
there's going to be 180 and below the purple belt bracket, no gi, and then 180 pounds and above in the gi, blue belt.
And how many competitors each division?
It's going to be an 8-man bracket for each. So we're going to have 14 fights.
Okay.
Just between the tournament, and then we added 4 super fights, which I will announce tonight. We do have Roberto Jimenez, the Phenom. He will be in town. He will be competing for us against Midwest Finishers champion Justin Rennick. He's a Travis Moore BJJ a brown belt. Very skilled guy. They're going to be allowed to do heel hooks. They're going to be able to do the whole thing.
Man.
It's going to be a good ADCC preview on leading up to our
There it is right there.
Who are the other super fights?
Fifth Stripe.
The other super fights, we have Diego Almeida versus Dinko Bektik. Dinko is a coach
That
out
is a
of.
great name, Dinko.
I love it.
Really good.
I expected a big burly
It's
Russian
like a
guy.
character from Grand Theft Auto
Yeah, like
5,
I'm serious.
right?
I'm not joking. That's a really great name, Dinko.
I think I played him in one of the GTAs.
Austin, could you be DJ Dinko?
Yeah.
That would be good.
But
Throw his name in the intro song. Throw his name in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was an attorney, so irregardless isn't a word, but it's a word. So I love it. So I was irregardless.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
Should be MC
the
irregardless.
super fights, we got 4 of them. We got Mackenzie Mantaris, a really good up and coming blue belt. She's done very well in the the national scene.
Yeah.
She's going to be fighting this really tough and up and coming Aisha Aladdin out of Team Took.
Aladdin?
Aladdin, as in Aladdin.
They
Prince
can't.
Ali, yes it is he.
Actually, I was thinking about that song.
Yeah.
A whole new
Aladdin
world. You
song
wanna
the
do that
other day.
Actually, I was playing that song while driving the other day.
I can't hear you, Coach Ricky. But anyways, hey. Oh, there you go.
Tell me, princess, now when did you last let your heart decide?
A whole new world.
Don't you dare.
That's enough.
close your
That is
eyes.
enough. That is enough.
I'm a little worried here that you.
Professor Allen, back up from the microphone.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I kind of feel like as much as I appreciate the Austin beats for each intro, I feel like we need to do the Aladdin song for at least.
Hey, they're remaking it. They're remaking it like the Lion King.
Yeah, but
it's
did you
coming
see
out.
Will Smith is the blue genie, right? Was it
Yeah,
Will Smith? Man,
that's-
did you see that?
They should have Shaq
That
as the
was
genie.
Yeah, Shaq was the genie.
Like,
They
Shazam.
no. They
Shazam?
need to have
Aladdin?
Sinbad as the genie, so we can finally get over
Dude,
this whole.
what
we can
happened to
have-
Sinbad, man? He was so funny.
He got
I
burned.
love him.
No,
He got burned.
He's doing stand up on cruises.
What
right
do you mean he
now.
got burned?
No, he is. He's
He
doing
almost-
stand up on cruise ships.
He almost died.
Last gigs I heard.
What happened?
No, so
I I love
I'm not
Sinbad.
sure what happened.
Alan, you know it's not Sinbad the Sailor,
Dude,
right?
the movie House Guest with him and Phil
that was the
Hartman.
best.
that was
the
great.
best.
Dude,
the best.
it's
Well,
so good.
He apparently got burned.
The American Dad episode with Sinbad.
No.
This is so
Was he wearing something in a windbreaker material?
No, so it's like an it's like an episode where like this alien is like kidnapping people that are in love,
Uh-huh.
right? And he's trying to like prove that love isn't a real thing,
Yeah.
right? And so you can like choose to prove.
He proved
you
that
have-
Sinbad loves his windbreaker tracksuits?
No. So the funny thing was the consequence for not being able to prove your true love, right? So if you
call
do
me white
prove
suit.
your love is true, he'll send you back to your planet.
Okay.
Right? However, if you fail the test, they will
Skin bag.
shave your genitals smooth, right? Smooth,
That's
like a
me.
Barbie doll, right? And Sinbad was one of the people that this happened to in this episode.
Man. That's
Just
what
look up
happened to
American
him?
Dad Sinbad episode.
Dude, Sinbad is great. Seriously, I love him.
But
Sinbad-
Professor Allen, what happened to Sinbad? You said he got burned.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly. You guys can look it up. Well, you're the fact checker, right?
Yeah, like
You're
he
Coach
literally
Ricky.
got
He's not doing
he
his
caught
job.
on fire.
He got like a chemical burn. It was a fire burn, and he almost died.
Is he
And then
shit-faced
that's
now?
what took him away from show business. And I guess now he's on cruise
He's on-
ships.
yeah, he's
Is
on
it
cruise
Carnival, Royal Caribbean? But
I hope it's not Carnival, bro.
Hey,
it can't be.
by
Dude,
the way,
I want to go see him, man.
hey, by the way, y'all know Sinbad was never a genie.
Yeah, no, that's why I said.
Are
I
you
wish-
kidding me? He
He's a
wasn't like-
comedian.
no,
of
he
course he's
wasn't
not a
on Shazam.
genie.
Coach
He's a
Ricky,
comedian.
you're a little late on
The
this.
whole, like Shazam, the whole
No,
Yeah, so
no,
this
no,
is
no. He was
yet
never in
another
Shazam.
Mandela effect.
This is a Mandela effect.
yeah, it's the Mandela effect.
Sinbad is a comedian
Yeah,
who has a penchant for windbreaker material type
you not heard
clothing.
about this whole
Sinbad
Mandela-
never played a genie.
You've never heard about this Mandela
Women
effect of people like
shopping.
remembering Sinbad playing a role in a movie?
That's a Sinbad punchline.
Dude, I am 100%. I'm 1,000% serious. Sinbad is so underrated.
I've seen him
He
in
is
concert
so good,
no less
dude.
than 10
I love
times.
him.
Just go watch one of his best
Has
movies,
anybody-
Richie Rich.
Yeah.
You can't beat it.
Has anybody seen the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode with
Yes.
him in it, where they go to the mental hospital?
Him and Rob Thomas.
And Rob
when,
Thomas?
oh
Yeah.
man,
Dude,
So-
Sinbad is a comical genius, man.
Sunny is my favorite show ever. Dennis
Oh.
is my favorite character
Dude,
ever.
I'll tell you
I
what.
try not to tell many people.
I
that
have
because they look at me funny.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia like home game,
Yeah,
and
I'm not surprised, motherfuckers, at all.
there's different ways to win.
Love it.
I have pissed off so many people by playing this game.
Charlie McDennis.
Charlie Mc, no. This is a real
Charlie
board
McDennis
game.
Electric Boogaloo.
And so one of the ways you can win is by naming the you pull a card, it gives you the synopsis of the episode. You have to name it.
Yeah.
I have all the
example.
episodes memorized. I just when I come home,
Sweet tea
what was
gets set
episode
on
one?
fire.
What was episode one, season one? What was the?
I don't have the numbers.
That was
it was the
the
gang
gun.
gets it was the gang gets racist because Dee
Yeah.
brought home her friend from theater
black
class.
friend.
and
Okay,
you
what was
sit down
episode
and
number
I thought he
13
was
then?
robbing the place.
What season?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I don't know the numbers of the episodes, but I know all the episodes. The point is, people would get so pissed because I would just play that card over and over and over and over,
Oh,
and I just
amazing.
knew all of the.
Where Mac becomes a pro-lifer, and then the chick is like,
You
"I'm
watch
pregnant,"
this.
and he's like, "Oh shit, you gotta get an abortion."
Yeah.
So hey, not to break, the
Dude, the
Sinbad flow.
Dennis and D go on welfare. One of the top episodes
This
of
is my
all
retarded
time.
sister,
So
and I've been
good,
teaching her crack.
really
Got
good.
what I need.
Hey
Dude,
guys, I found out what
very good.
happened, like how he got burned. So listen to this story. This is according to Sinbad. He hit a can of like aerosol spray while he was doing the laundry, and
Shit.
it like when it landed, it sprayed, and it was near the water heater, and the heater's pilot light was exposed.
Fuck.
And so he said he was about 10 feet away, but that spray engulfed him.
It was probably
said,
2 feet away.
It said he suffered third-degree burns
Oh.
over 18%.
He almost died. I'm telling you, he almost died. But
God,
burn his
Doug,
neck
what
off?
are the odds of that happening,
Yeah,
man?
that sounds like super like bad luck, like Final Destination style bad luck.
man,
like,
when I was a kid, I used to.
falls, sprays into the fucking water.
That is
heater,
some
hits-
Final Destination
hits the
shit.
pilot light, sprays it like that's
What was the 80s spray that
Hairspray.
The hairspray. I used to grab lighters and spray, they
Professor
make torch.
Aquanet.
Professor
Aquanet.
Aquanet.
So I
was
would
the
grab
best.
that pink big fucking Aquanet
Yeah.
and put a
Oh, yeah.
lighter on it, and that's just that's basically what happened,
Hey,
right?
They still make hairspray, by the way.
So I have
It's not an 80s
third
thing.
coast.
When you got good hair, Professor Roberto, you don't need it.
Hey, if your hair was fixed, you could use a little hairspray. You're looking a little rough today.
Actually, if you never try to grab Rogue, your hair wouldn't.
I can't wait for the Facebook Live.
So when's Nikki Ryan going to come? and
Hey,
play?
so wait.
All right, actually,
Yeah, go ahead.
With Nikki Ryan, I've actually have talked to Gordon, and we have our event December 14th. We're moving venues. I haven't really put this out there too much. December 14th, Third Coast Grappling 3 will be at Warehouse Live in downtown Houston with a 3,000 capacity venue, and we're going to sell that bitch out too.
I still want the front row center.
And do you have a commentary team for this event? Or?
Oh, I mean, the best dressed commentary team in the game. The freshest, the best dressed. I mean, whatever you want to say. I believe that they're signed through the end of 2019.
Is that it?
So, I mean,
that's all?
I mean,
1 year?
And I was looking for a 5-year contract.
So I have a question about the commentary team.
Sir.
Like,
yes, Grace Boss student number 2014. Yes.
Can I sit in for like 10 minutes and have fun?
Can you sit in?
Well, our match is 10 minutes, so yeah, you're more than welcome.
This. I told Professor Brandon. Is that a good pronunciation of your name?
That's correct.
Okay.
It's pronounced okay.
I told him. I told him, I'm like, hey, Keenan's gonna probably be in town for the June card. I was like, do you mind if he joins the commentary team? I don't know, bro. He might not. It might not flow with us. I don't know about that. So he's being very territorial, Austin.
Well,
I don't know.
And I agree with him, though.
Can I clarify? Can I clarify my statement?
By all means.
Now, when you first presented this option, you made it seem like he would be there the entire time.
Oh.
And all I said was,
All right.
I don't know him. Professor Allen doesn't know him. I'm not sure how that's going to come off in the commentary. Now, later you made it clear that he would be dropping in for maybe 1 match or 2 match. And I said that would be totally fine.
Well, I'm glad we got that cleared up. Keenan, if you're listening, you'll be in for, as long as you'd like.
Worm guard.
His hair game doesn't have anything on
Keenan,
me.
if you want to drop into the commentary, that's great, man. I'm just saying, the whole event, I don't know you don't know me, Professor Allen.
So Ryan, going back to Third Coast, right? So we mentioned Diego Almeida versus Dinko, right? GTA. And we got to put that. Dinko GTA.
What's GTA?
Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, yeah.
GTA 4, right? That was with, what was the guy's name?
He only knows about Segas. He doesn't know about, the PlayStation,
Atari,
and Xbox.
Oh, Sonic right there.
Atari, Spy versus Spy.
Speaking of, dude, the game Aladdin on Sega was like the best game.
That was actually a really good game. I remember. Yeah,
it was.
That was back when
Magic Carpet Ride.
So guys, going back. What other super fight? We have 4 of them, right? We had Mackenzie, we had Dinko, we had.
I am currently looking for somebody to fight Tackett. Andrew Tackett, the 15-year-old blue belt phenom.
Okay.
It's a little hard. Nobody wants
no
to.
gi?
Charlie Phelps.
Everybody, I was going to segue into this. Jiu-jitsu guys are all about, no ego, we're humble, we'll fight anybody anytime. But when it comes time to it, I'm noticing when I'm doing matchmaking, a lot of them will not fight anybody anytime. A lot of them will say, well, this guy, he's 15. It doesn't really do anything for my career or, my trajectory as a jiu-jitsu practitioner. I'm like,
how much does he weigh?
He's 155. You want to fight him?
Well, because, I'll tell you why they don't want to do it, okay? Yeah. Because you lose, you have all to lose if you fight a 15-year-old. If you beat them, they're like, congratulations, you beat a 15-year-old. Yeah. And if you lose to them, they're like, you suck, you lost a 15-year-old. So,
I get their reasoning, but at the same time, this whole, I'm going to fight anybody. Nobody even knows who some of these guys are, and they're asking for thousands of dollars to compete on our card. Like, who have you fought? What have you won?
It's like arm wrestling a girl.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like, you beat a girl in arm wrestling, dick.
Yeah, exactly.
And I get it.
It's a double-edged sword. I tell you what, I've never had to fight a girl in a competition, but I have fought like kids before.
Yeah.
And the best strategy is just beat them as fast as you can, because people are there's nothing to win there. I've had to fight, obviously I compete in the lowest weight class, whether it's judo or there's jiu-jitsu or wrestling or whatever. And I've had to fight a number of 13, 14, and 15-year-olds as a grown man. And I can tell you that there's nothing. There's nothing to gain. Yeah, exactly. There's nothing to gain. So you just have to beat them as quick as you can, shake their hand and be polite and move on.
Wrist lock.
Yeah, because what are you going to do?
Hey, hold on. Are you trying to make fun of the wrist lock? Don't make fun of the wrist lock.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying.
The wrist lock, it's the weakest part of your body.
I can tell you this. The one time I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go out and be nice. You know what happened? the kid took me down. And then I had to like recover, sweep, get on his back and choke him. Then I'm like, okay, I'm never doing that again. You know, you just got to go out there and blast him.
Yeah, when it comes to competition, you should not care about the other person's feelings.
Yeah, there should be a lifeless form in front of you.
Yeah, it's just
or a faceless form.
Professor, you trained with Rock today. Rock is good, dude. Rock is pretty serious, you know? And like, I enjoy watching him train because like he's good. You know, it's really fun to kind of think about what he might do.
Is this the Rock
and stuff like that?
No.
Like Dwayne Johnson?
I'm thinking this. Who the fuck is this?
We don't talk names about students and stuff. So this is a kid. This is a kid's. This is a kid's
Okay. Oh, okay. I get it.
But he's 15.
Yeah.
He's 15. He's very tough, and I enjoy training with these kids because you know what it is about. I don't know what it is about teenagers, but there's no like holding back.
No,
you know
they
look at.
Well, I'll give you a little bit of advice as an instructor. Get your taps in now.
Oh yeah, I know.
Get them taps in now because it's going to be soon. You can't.
I have two. Right, like again, I'm not going to say names, but I have these two brothers. Both of them are not old enough to be in the juniors class. However, they both are, and they wreck people in there. And they're tiny. Like I foresee not the older one. So here's a weird dynamic about them, right? They've been training together for a long time, even though they're still really young.
I think I know who this is.
So the older brother is right now technically better, but when he loses, crying, right?
Okay.
Like upset.
So there's a potential he's going to burn out.
There might be that potential, but his younger brother, very good, you know, almost as good as him, but he loses. He's just like, I'll go back to the line. Like, I'll try again next time.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm like, yeah, his big brother's good, but like he's the one that
he's got the fire.
Yeah, like he's like, okay, this is training. I'm not here to get W's during class, right? It's training.
Practice.
So he sees it like that. And then, you know, big brother's always used to winning. So like whenever he loses.
Well, and you got to realize too, I mean, this is for adults as well. I mean, anytime you're having a hard time, you got to realize that your time is going to come as long as you don't give up. You know
I got smashed up at training tonight, but I only trained with black belts tonight. It was awesome. It was like four rounds or 5 rounds with Professor Brandon, and then a couple with Professor Andressa. Smashed.
She's a fun little role there.
It was like Lucas.
One thing I want to say, I've said this to Professor Berto and probably Coach Ricky many times about the kids class, and I think it's hilarious. But I'll just say it again for our listeners. I think Professor Berto knows what I'm going to say. But a lot of times, you know, a kid will come up to you. Either he was prompted by an adult or maybe one of your teammates, and they'll come up and they'll say something like, you know, one day I'm going to beat you. You know what I mean? Or one day I'm going to be big, blah, blah, blah. And that's great. And that's true. But in order just to get into the kid's head, and also I just think this is hilarious, I'll say something to them like this. Hey, look, that's really great that you think you're going to beat me, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to injure you way before you ever have a chance to challenge me. And the look on that kid's face is so hilarious.
Professor Brandon, is that why you're head instructor for the kids class?
What's that?
Is that why you're head instructor for the kids class?
I am not the head instructor for the kids class.
But I see you on the mat out there frequently, like guiding these children.
I'll give you this. I teach the adult class. Some people in that class do behave as children.
I feel attacked right now.
I was talking about Ryan.
So
I was talking directly about Ryan.
I'm going to be honest, Ryan. He was making full eye contact at me, so we'll share that one.
Well, so today in the kids class,
yes,
Professor Allen's son is in that class.
That's a great technical statement, by the way.
No names.
As well as Coach Oliver's son. And so I asked both of them the same question. At what age do you think training with your son will start to get hard? Right? Like at what age do you is it not a joke anymore?
Okay, if we're talking about Professor Allen, it depends on the time limit.
Well, Professor Allen's already,
because if we go to 5-minute time limit, it doesn't matter the kids.
No, we do it at 3 minute rounds. Yo, I'll tell you what, I'll give you the heart.
5-minute break.
We can do a 10-minute round. I'm going to defend for 9 minutes. But bless your soul, bless your wrist.
On that 10th minute.
That last minute,
That
I'm
ninth
coming
minute.
with fire.
No, he's spamming wrist locks for that
That's
last minute.
hilarious.
Professor
That's
Allen.
hilarious.
Professor Allen would be the first black belt to wrist lock a gray and white belt. That
I'll
would
do
be
it.
insane.
It'll be his own son.
So whenever
Well,
whenever I ask
hang
this
on.
question, what's the answer to the question?
Actually, shout out Mateo's brand new gray and white belt.
What's the
Congratulations.
answer to the question?
So
guys?
I mean, what I told Coach Rigg, I'm like, man, if a kid is training this early at the age of 5, continuously,
Oh, by the time they're 15?
by the time I told him, I told him by the age he's blue belt, I wouldn't be surprised he's taking my back.
You know, a lot of people don't know this, but if you see a kid walk around in a green belt, that is basically a kid black belt.
You're in trouble.
And you better watch yourself. Like, I didn't know this for a long time, but this is true. So green belt is the last belt in the kids belt division. And most people, they age out before they get that green belt. So if you see a kid walk around in a green belt, like, that kid's good. You better watch yourself.
Yeah,
Didn't Igor get his green belt before he ended up going blue?
I don't know if
Igor did good. Yeah, he got his green belt.
And I'll tell you
that
what,
was
ever
so
since
well-deserved.
I'll tell you what, ever since Igor was probably, I don't know, like 14 maybe, he probably had the absolute best posture in the guard of anybody in the school. Like once he stood up in your guard and posture was really, really strong.
He's been tough
Actually,
since a tween.
I remember back when Andy,
Mega Highest 2020.
back where Andy boy, right? When I first joined the school,
And he was great too.
When I first joined the school, I think Andy was
We're
like
double brothers.
14 or something like that.
No, I think he was 13.
Man,
Was he? Maybe.
When I joined, so I joined the school back in 2011, the beginning of 2011. So I think he was like 14 or 15.
Yeah.
But he was definitely a yellow and white belt training in the advanced class. And so I got paired up with him for the first time, right? I'm training with him. And my first thought is like, oh, he's a young kid. I'm sure he's good, but like I can handle myself, right? And we're training and he freaking slaps a triangle on me like out of nowhere.
Quick as
just
shit.
bam, it's on. And like I fucking pussied out. I went to the side of the mat and like rolled off the side. And I was like, oh man, let's reset.
My back.
And like, let's reset.
My back's broken.
And then he was like,
Final.
And then he was like,
Final escape a submission.
Yeah. And then he was,
DQ, bro.
and then he was like, hey, was that triangle kind of close? I was like, nah, bro. We just rolled off the mat. Let's
like-
reset.
I was about to get out.
What you got to do is you got
I
to
was
scoot
about
back.
to get out.
That kind of gets to that point when you get those guys that you're rolling with, and then you catch them in a submission, and they're like, "Oh, tap." No, that was good. So what you need to do to adjust that to make it tighter and everything? You're like, bro,
That's the black belt tap.
No, that's a black belt tap. Yeah, actively coaching while tapping. Yeah, that's some slick shit.
No, hang on. That is not a black belt tap.
That is a white belt.
Yeah, we cannot call it the black belt tap.
That is a white belt.
It's going to
That is
sound like we're
actually a black
tapping.
belt tap.
Yeah,
It
that's a
sounds
weak-
like we're getting tapped and we're
That's
trying
a
to
weak
coach.
tap.
Professor Brandon,
Clinch
one thing I
tighter.
can't
Do it
stand,
harder.
and it
Yeah, I guess
pisses
that
the
would be
shit
better.
out of me
Weak tap.
is when I hear I think you do the same thing when someone comes and say, "Hey, so what do I got to do?" I'm like, "We'll talk about it later. Let's keep training."
Oh, yeah.
Nothing more than I hate more during training is somebody trying to ask me questions or even though I'm dying of
Professor, no,
tired because I have no cardio
Professor, when do we ask questions?
after class
Or
during the technique.
I would like
exactly during the technique.
As the lowest ranked person here at the table,
What?
I would
You
like
shouldn't even be talking.
I would like some clarification.
Can I get his mic, please?
Sorry, I couldn't hear this inappropriate young man.
Young
Old
man.
man.
Old man. I apologize.
Whoa.
I apologize.
Whoa.
I misspoke.
I'm
Sorry.
15 pounds over, so I'm not
You're
little
damn
like that.
right
Yeah.
you misspoke.
But with the levels in jiu-jitsu, let's
We
talk
can
about
figure
that.
it out outside if you want to.
Something he told me was like, "Hey, don't compare yourself to anybody but blue belts that have been training the same way as you, because you can't compare yourself to a brown belt hobbyist. You can't compare yourself to an 80-year-old black belt or whatever." So that was like a big turning point for me. Like, hey, like you're not going to be able to sit here and say that, oh, you're making strides against somebody that may train once or twice a week. They may have got their blue belt, before you, but they don't train 4 or 5 times a week. So what is the differences in training? Is it just the belt's just there to to say, hey, signify longevity, or is it actually
Don't ask questions during live training.
That's the main point.
Just shut the
that's
fuck
it.
up.
You
That's
just
it.
train.
No, but
That's
this is a legitimate question. No
Yeah,
one slapped hands
to
and
go
rolled.
to your point or your question. Look, so the whole point is you have to be realistic. So if somebody's wearing a blue belt, that doesn't mean they're a blue belt, right? But you have to realize there's a spectrum, there's a range there, and so there's time limits to be a blue belt. So the
not
point
only that, if you get a kid that started at blue belt.
Andrew Tackett.
Yeah,
They
I mean, that's
still
what he's.
got 10 years.
Yeah,
That's what he's saying.
Exactly. You know, so the point is, you just got to be realistic, both with your input and your ability, and other people's input and their ability. So you just can't make these, big broad statements like a purple belt's always going to beat a blue belt, or an adult is always going to beat a kid. There's a pretty big variation. So the belt is there to give you an idea of what the person might know, and sometimes their experience level. As Oliver just said, you have a kid that's 5 and they absolutely cannot get their blue belt until they're 16. So he could have 10 years experience and he's 16 years old. I mean, he is not a typical blue belt. So you just have to, you got to have some realism in there. You know what I mean? If you're training 3 times a week and you get your blue belt after 2 years, well, you're definitely a blue belt, but that's going to be a different blue belt than somebody's been training 7 days a week and then gets the blue at the same amount of time. So you just got to be realistic,
So we were talking about the question with Coach Ricky, and he asked me, hey, when do you think your son's going to start either dominating you or passing your guard?
We already talked about that.
Well, no, because we didn't get our answers, right? So I said, hey, by the age of 14, 15, when he's a blue belt, I'm having problems, right? Because I'm adding the years. Shoot, 10 years from now, 8 years from now, my back as it is not doing well, right? So, Coach Ricky, so I'm answering. So yeah, I would say blue belt, I'm having problems, right? I mean, by the age of 15, 16, he's probably brown belt level, right? I mean, that's pretty much at a young age with no injuries at all, right?
And consistent training,
of course, right? Because I'll make him go.
And so, what about you, Coach Oliver? What age do you think?
Fucking 8 years old. 8 years old.
He's like, he already passes my guard. I'm like,
oh man, dude, like I can't keep that dude trapped down for shit. I tried to ground him to his room. He fucking passed the guard at the door. It was insane. He double-legged my wife the other day because she was serving chicken nuggets. He wanted fish sticks.
That's my kind of
It's
kid
just
right
getting
there.
real at the fucking house. Like he's been watching a lot of Ninja Turtles, so like I'm getting poked in the fucking face with sticks and like stabbed with like plastic swords and shit. So eight and a half tops.
So there was
Maybe
one thing that I think was really interesting is that I remember this happened a few years back. I think I was still a blue belt. No, I was a purple belt actually, because I had started helping with the kids' class. They had a brother and sister in the kids' class, and the parents were pretty involved. Sometimes they would coach on the sidelines, which I do not recommend.
Not allowed.
But
get him, Johnny, choke his ass.
But
yeah, you don't even got to recommend it. It is not allowed.
Yeah,
we're gonna slide into
and
this
so
topic.
just so you know, hand signals also not allowed.
Yeah, you're over there telling your kid to pass guard, but you really just told him to steal second. Like, calm down.
That's a
Calm
great
the fuck
point.
down, third base.
And they
coach.
probably have their own code, man. That's
so the youngest is it was a boy, and I remember speaking to the dad and the mom, and the mom told me in front of the dad was agreeing with this, that it is a rule in the house that at any point in the son's life he cannot beat up his dad. It is not allowed.
Whoops.
Right? And so in my head, I'm like, why'd you put him in jiu-jitsu then?
He gotta
Right?
beat you up.
Yeah, and
He'll
that
be
just,
able to.
yeah, that just kind of goes to show how big some people's egos are
Insecure.
and how insecure some of these.
Well, if you sit in the bleachers during the kids' class, you can tell by the parents, the egos these parents have, right? So a lot of times I'll sit there incognito, just sitting there, and you hear dad like, "Get on top, push your legs, bro. This is what you got to do, bitch."
Bro,
like and so I'm just
That's
like,
a quote, by the way.
There's-
I've heard those. That's
I
a
heard-
quote.
today. I heard that.
There are parents sending me their kids' Instagram page that they run for me to go look at.
It's crazy.
Like, there's 9-year-olds with their own 800 followers on Instagram.
That's kind of questionable.
because their dad-
This is a true story. I once had a parent show me a video on their phone of their 2 children who trained jiu-jitsu at the time. They were basically having like some sort of like no rules type
That is
jiu-jitsu
brutal.
match in the garage. one of the kids was Kimuring the other kid. The kid being Kimured was crying. The other kid was cranking, and the parent was yelling like, "They haven't tapped. Like, keep going." And like they were asking me to like evaluate the match, and I was like, "This is 100% inappropriate. What are you doing?"
Did you call CPS and have them evaluate the match?
It was nuts, dude. These parents are out of their minds.
It's like jiu-jitsu parents just, I mean, you guys deal with it all the time, but they're the ultimate talent parents.
Well,
like you got the pageant kids, you got all that.
Soccer moms got nothing on jiu-jitsu moms.
No,
man.
but look, I would not go to a baseball game and coach baseball because I have no baseball experience.
You shouldn't go to a baseball game.
Same
then.
thing.
See, but you're Coach Ricky. You're a nice guy.
But like, but fighting is something that some parents feel is intuitive. I know there's some parents out there that are like, I know how to fight.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Put him in the body bag.
Just because your husband stayed out late one night and you got an argument doesn't know you know how to throw down.
Let me say this. So this is a bit crude, but I'll say it anyways because it's true.
I don't believe that.
Men in general think they're born with the ability to do two things: fight and fuck. And
100%.
Actually, both of those things are learned skills.
Man,
100%.
swing that dick, man.
Hey,
Yeah, exactly. That's
you
what
gotta
everybody.
throw the dick
That's
beaters,
what everybody
throw the
says.
dick beaters.
That's what everybody
You
says.
gotta
But in
sling it like a
fact,
slingshot.
you
You gotta sling it like a slingshot.
both of those activities are learned skills.
Hey, bro, you graduate from a vacuum cleaner to the real life thing.
You can go.
I mean, it's great.
I'll close it up.
You want me to keep the taps open?
Yes. Okay. All right. And if
So-
anybody yells at you,
So we got the parents at the kids class, and you're hearing like, put them in a body bag, right, and all this extra shit, and then you see the big guy in the back. He has the fucking those weird fucking shirts with the baseball cap, and then he's fucking.
There's shirts with
there's
baseball.
There's a cigar. There's a cigar in his fucking
There's a
pocket.
shirt with a baseball cap.
Right, there's a cigar in his
Is it
fucking
attached?
pocket, and then
There's a cigar.
I'm
attached
just
as
sitting
well.
there like, oh my god.
He's wearing cargo pants.
Yeah, I mean,
And cargo shorts.
And
Yeah.
it's like, you don't know whose
top.
kids your kid's going against, right? Let them be. So, and then like when my son comes in, I'm like, hey, good. Did you have fun? Great. All right, let's get out of here. That's the conversation.
That's the perfect parent right there.
That's the
I bet some
conversation.
of these parents wear the medals their kids win. Like
That's
that's where we're at with it.
And you know what's amazing is that you're doing a bit. You actually train and you understand jiu-jitsu and you're parenting that way, whereas these other people don't train.
Oh,
they,
Professor.
they literally have no idea.
I love going up to so when the live training's going on, right? Professor Allen's son is out there,
Yep.
right? I will go up to Professor Allen and address him as professor and ask him like a technical question,
Yeah.
and then just walk off and just leave all the parents be like, "Oh shit, guess he's a black belt."
a lot of these parents.
That's beautiful. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
I
by
love
the way.
doing that. I
That's
just go,
beautiful.
Professor Allen, what did you think about this? Oh, thank you, Professor. All right, and I just walk off.
That's beautiful.
And a lot of these parents, like, I'll sit there, right? I always sit in the corner and they're showing their kids, you got to do this, this, and that. And no one knows I train, right? I'm just
Yeah.
there. I don't say one word to my son. Like, if he gets his ass kicked, he gets his fucking ass kicked, right?
Well, that's part
It
of
is
the game.
what it is.
That's
It
part
is
of
what it is.
That's part of the reason that your son is out there. Jiu-jitsu is a great microcosm for the real world. You win some, you lose some. You got to work hard if you want to
beat
get
up
what you want.
sometimes.
You get beat up sometimes, and so you realize that as a parent that like if you're out there, one, if you're coaching from the sideline, that you're confusing your kid by they don't understand who's in charge, you or the coach. But at the same time, you're lessening their experience out there by not letting them just experience what naturally happens in jiu-jitsu. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. You got to work hard if you want to get what you want. And that's a great lesson for kids to learn or even adults to learn.
Have you seen that video online where it's a wrestling competition? It's the funniest shit. And we're going to get back to Third Coast, right? But
No.
it's the-
I'll add to this after you're
This
done.
is the funniest
Graduation
shit
order.
ever. So you got this fucking kid beating up this other fucking kid. And the father of the kid winning goes up to the mom of the kid that's losing and starts screaming. And
I
then
think I saw that. The guy hits her.
Yeah.
That's insane,
But
man.
she kind of went for like a knee tap too. Like a knee tap.
She didn't go for no knee tap. She might have grabbed somebody's knee. However, she did not go for a
I
knee
think
tap.
she looked technical.
Now,
No, it
let's-
didn't.
Let's expound on like the positive impact jiu-jitsu has on people. I mean, when I started it, I'm not going to post a transformation photo because I don't want it
'cause
to
you've
be.
done-
You've already done
I
that
don't wanna-
multiple
we talked- I don't
times.
wanna be-
You've already done that multiple times.
We talked about the Japanese Buddhas and all this
I don't want to
shit.
be belittled by Professor Berto right here. So jujitsu
too big to be belittled.
Well, be big, whatever. I don't care. But no, with jujitsu, I mean, people come into it like for me. Like I came in, my mom had just passed away. I was just trying to train by my own way, like get in shape. I tried everything. I tried the diets. I tried to not snort cocaine every night. I tried to,
That's a good start.
Did you have fun?
I had a blast snorting cocaine every night, but
we're not condoning it.
But
though.
You weren't snorting it. You were just
Yeah, yo.
my 300 pounds, I was probably eating it at that point.
Smells amazing.
But
Cocaine, it just smells good.
Yeah,
I like the way it smells. It's
And
like,
we can have it as an air freshener, like every 15 minutes, a little spray.
But it went from that. It went from that to like I got into a gym. It was kind of a toxic environment. I left there after a few months, and I came over here. And Professor Brandon was the first person I ever met. Unfortunately
That's
for him.
rough. That's rough.
I came in and I'm like, hey, hey, this is going on, blah, blah, blah. He's like, cool, bro, just sign up here. And, I signed up, but it changed everything, man. I went from 300 pounds.
I remember you and Raymond came in together, right?
No, it was my buddy Jordan.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Man, and I had this conversation with Professor Brandon. Like every couple years, you'll see a wave of people come and go, right? And I had this conversation with him, and he's like, "Man, think about a year ago."
Conversation last episode, I think.
Well, it's true though. I mean, and that he's part of it, right? I mean, how long have you been training, Ryan?
It'll be 2 years at GB in May.
All right, so usually it happens in years, right? You'll have a guy gone for a couple months, then he's back. So basically, it's always good. It's refreshing to get somebody who comes into the group, integrates to the group, and stays with the group, right?
Oh, well, so my brother and I, we kind of talk about our white belt class, and what we mean by that is everyone that was a white belt with us who has stayed
As seniors, as four stripers.
So when I think about my white belt class, there's only one person who still trains.
Really?
Right.
Christian, right?
Yeah, and that's But so there's only one person that still trains. And I remember being with these people, training with a bunch of them all the time, but it's over the years whittled down to just one other person.
Me too. I think I'm down to two people that were white belts when I was also a white belt.
Yeah, I think your white belt class was stronger. I think you had Kevin, Andy's older brother.
Kevin and Andy, those were the two I was referring to, with two brothers. But aside from them, I can't think of anybody. And actually, Andy was a yellow and white, and me and
not your white belt class?
Not white belt. He's ahead of me actually. It was me and Kevin, I think. I can't think of anybody else that was white belt 4-stripe when we were 4-stripe.
If you want to get a little perspective on how hard it is to make it to black belt, okay, let's say just on average it takes you between, let's say 6 to 10 years, okay? Most people won't complete college, which is only 4 years and has a direct impact on how much money you make. They can't even do that. That's going to have a direct impact on their future. So the likelihood of success for people who are doing jiu-jitsu for 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, which is most likely going to take away from your income, is even lower than that. So it's very difficult to push through and make it to black belt.
I know for me, I barely made my I think there's a minimum required time for each belt, and I don't know exactly what they are, but I know I was a blue, a purple, and a brown for over 2 years each. Yeah, and I didn't realize that until after the fact. Right, I wasn't really keeping track. No, normally to me, once I hit that number 4 stripe, I'm not keeping track of days or anything.
Well, you just got to focus on the training, Yeah, you got to focus on the training, and you always did that.
But when you look at jiu-jitsu as like in terms of changing people's lives, I mean, I'm sure everybody at this table has a story about how jiu-jitsu positively impacted.
Yeah, when I think Ricky brought it up that on the very first podcast that I was actually up to 230 at a certain point.
We talked about Big Birdo and
230. So I mean, if you know me, I'm not very tall. I'm 5'7". I was wearing
short.
I was wearing size 40.
Dude, I was
wearing size 40. So
I lost 24 pounds my first month after signing up.
Was it because
how much have you gained since then, Oliver?
Was it because you were a rapper, or was it because you were a size 40?
That's enough for me, Professor Mother.
Have you?
So has he gained weight since he started?
I know he showed up to this podcast hungry. I mean, bet if you ate a dick, it would be a little bit all right.
I am hungry. Can we get some pizza in here? Oh, we're going for the throat. Are we going for the neck here?
Like, grab that dick and put it through the throat.
Now, can you eat a dick?
Serious, we
Can you
can.
eat a dick, or is it more like?
Hey, if Lorena
wanna get
Bobbitt
serious.
chops a dick off and you
Savor it.
cut it up into like a sausage and eat it with a fork, it's like anything.
Shit.
Funniest joke
Like-
I've ever heard in my whole life. Okay, it's a really short joke. So there's this limousine, and they're driving down the highway, and this lady is in the limousine with her husband, and she finds out that he's cheating. So she's like, yeah, get your dick out. And then, so he does, and she chops it off, and she throws it out of the window.
Lorena Bobbitt, right?
Right, cold-hearted.
That's not a joke. That's a real story.
Hang on.
True life story.
So there's a car cruising behind the limo, right? With like
Stuck on the
with
windshield?
a guy and with his 9-year-old daughter in the car, and they're cruising, and this dick hits the windshield.
Is that real?
This is real. This is a real story. It's
Holy
not a joke or
shit.
anything. And so the dick hits the windshield and like hangs there, and the dad like looks at it, immediately recognizes it, turns on the windshield wipers.
I'm sure it's
Puts the
still
thing
like
off.
fucking rock hard.
Rock hard. And so the little girl looks at the dad, and she goes, "Oh my God, Dad, what was that?" And
The
he
finger.
He goes, "Oh, it was a bug." And she goes, "Oh, man, that bug had a big dick." That's the best joke I've ever heard.
That's hilarious. But I do want to. So we're talking about like, bad parents in jiu-jitsu, and
Can't
we're talking
stand
about
that shit.
one thing I did want to talk about on the podcast that kind of non-jiu-jitsu. It's related to jiu-jitsu, but it's related to everything. Is that people who make this claim of you can't talk about that because it hasn't happened to you? Like, this is completely fucking ridiculous.
It's like if I came in and I was like, man, it's hard being black and gifted. Someone's like, whoa.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Well, so what I'm talking about,
You're not very gifted.
what I'm talking about is just
not black
just in
either.
general,
Are we still
people.
talking about that dick?
No, just in general, people saying like,
Whoa.
well, you can't.
Excuse me, sir.
Your opinion on that doesn't matter because it hasn't happened to you.
Do you know what I find equally offensive?
Huh?
When people get offended for other people.
Yeah,
Like,
that
when you're like-
is completely
like,
ridiculous
for-
as well.
You'll be like, yeah, no, I was hanging out with, Charles. They're like, oh, who's that? It's like, oh, one of my black friends. They're like, whoa, calm down. You're like, no, he's 33. He knows he's black.
Yes.
No need to be offended. They're
Yes,
like, well, you should
exactly.
be sensitive about that. And you're like, about being friendly? That there's nothing more frustrating than people getting offended.
Yeah,
for
people
someone
getting
else.
offended for other people is ridiculous. And
Yeah.
again, just people saying that because you have not experienced a specific event, you can't comment on it.
There are
Or
differences.
your opinion. No. I mean, look. I mean,
yeah,
Hey, I was
could be
molested as a child. Like,
Yeah.
hey,
I could be like,
I'm
rape's
going to speak on that.
bad.
Or
Yeah.
Okay,
I got
but look,
blown up
look.
overseas. Like, people
you know
can't
what?
relate to that.
Hang
unless
on.
you've
No, hang on.
experienced
Hang on. If you were molested as a
it.
child,
I wasn't really molested as a kid.
or you
just
were
saying.
okay. So look, if you let's say
What are you doing later?
either one of those cases, if you were molested as a child or you were blown up overseas,
Blind dick through the windshield.
you can still go to a healthcare professional and get real advice from somebody who was not molested as a child or who was not blown up overseas, and they are going to have real advice to help you out.
Well,
But
you look
isn't
at
that the job of a therapist?
Well, you look at the VA. You go to the VA.
Yeah, but now you
have
have-
to his point. That's his point.
That's-
That like you don't have to go through it.
That's
To be
right.
able to help somebody
That's what
with
I'm
it.
saying.
So like if I see somebody like flying a plane, right? Let's say they got a propeller plane and they fly that prop plane, and they fly that plane into a tree, right? I don't know how to fly a plane, right? I have no idea how to fly a plane. Never been in the cockpit of a plane. However, I can tell the guy that flew that plane into a tree is not doing it right. Right? So I can comment. I can comment and say that pilot is a dumb fuck.
Shouldn't have been given a pilot license.
Right?
Exactly.
I don't have a pilot's
What
license.
if it was a malfunction of
It's like, look, I mean, if you
It's on the mechanic.
if you had cancer, you wouldn't go to your doctor and ask for a treatment and then be like, oh, hang on, have you had cancer? I'm not going to listen to you. You know what I mean? Like, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous that
they call it practicing medicine.
But you know what? Like at the VA hospital, right? A lot of the therapists, a lot of the doctors are either combat vets or they have family members that are that way, because it's hard for like myself as a combat vet to go in there and be like, oh, hey there, nice 26-year-old female that looks great with this nice little skirt on that's fresh out of medical school. You want to talk to me? You want to talk to me?
Sexist.
Low blow.
No.
Sexist.
Hey, I don't need all you little.
Sexist.
No, don't paint me as a
woman
sexist.
pretty. You
No.
can call a woman pretty.
A man can wear
No,
a pretty
look,
skirt.
I don't think skirts are part of the uniform.
Yeah, I actually
did
don't.
she identify as
when
a
I was a
woman, or
Scott-
did you
if you're
might be
ask
something
her?
of an
She identifies
identification.
Hey, when I was in Scotland,
the
I wore a
pronoun?
skirt. It's no big deal.
What was
But
the
no,
pronoun?
It's called a kilt, not a skirt.
But no, seriously, like you sit there and you got to have somebody that can relate to you. Like if I'm sitting here telling you about the time 3 of my friends got killed, I got blown up in a Humvee. I'm not going to sit here and talk to somebody that doesn't necessarily.
Then your friend's like, yeah, no.
Okay,
my
but
dog died
look.
once.
I
And
agree
you're
with
like,
that,
oh,
but at the
fuck.
same time, dealing with one traumatic event, okay, is going to be similar to dealing with another traumatic event. And my point is, just because somebody hasn't gone through the exact same experience that you have, doesn't mean they don't have something to offer. If they're a trained professional, it's the same way with like saying that a coach cannot create an athlete that are better than themselves. That's complete bullshit.
Well, that's kind of
Customato, Mike Tyson's coach, had one boxing match and he lost, and he made Mike Tyson. You know what I mean? So
He made my type.
yeah,
Like, did
exactly.
he use his bare hands?
It was actually out of clay.
Was it
So
like
there-
celebrity deathmatch?
There's a number of examples of people being able to see from an outside perspective
all these
something they've
college
never
basketball
experienced. You
coaches.
know? Yeah, exactly.
Ain't shit.
So it's just
Look at Bobby Knight. You throw a few
That is
chairs.
such a stupid generalization.
No,
Professor
it's
Allen.
true.
So
Bobby
you,
Knight played
you
basketball.
know
How many
wait,
college
you know-
basketball coaches fucking played high school basketball? That's it.
Have you seen Hoosiers?
Give me
Have you
some
seen
numbers.
Hoosiers?
Give me some
Professor.
numbers. Which-
Name three
I don't know
high school. Name
fucking
three college basketball
So
coaches.
you're just assuming.
Mike
pretty much.
Krzyzewski.
So you're just assuming.
Bobby Pitino. He's hard.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, and I know I'm right.
You're wrong.
The chair throwing.
Well, just to clarify too, Hoosiers
Pitino.
with who's the actor in
Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman. God,
Yes.
dog, he's good.
He's so good.
You know what? He's kind of like an underrated Anthony Hopkins. He's like underrated Anthony Hopkins, man. Like Anthony Hopkins is fucking so badass, but Gene Hackman, he's a motherfucker too, man. He's
You
good.
see that movie with him and Will Smith when they're like running from the government? That was
Yes,
like,
that's good. What is that? Enemy
I
of the
forgot
State?
name of it.
Enemy of the State.
Yes, that was a great
That's
one.
good.
So think
dude.
about a
That was a
basketball.
solid
A lot of
movie.
these
That's
shooting
good.
coaches. A lot of these shooting coaches.
And
they
the
haven't
one
really
with-
played.
Leonardo DiCaprio and Russell Crowe is good too.
Oh yeah.
What's that one?
Oh shit.
Come on.
This is when Ricky's supposed to step in.
Whoa.
Leo and Russell Crowe.
Leonardo DiCaprio and Russell Crowe.
What was the movie about?
No, Russell Brand.
I just told you it's about like Leonardo DiCaprio's like a some kind of state
Basketball
operative.
Diaries. Oh wait, no.
No, that was the one when he's in Iraq. It's what's it called? When he's
It's
the
good,
CIA
man.
guy. It's
Yeah.
And then what's his name's his handler, and he's overseeing.
Yeah.
You know, there's somebody like yelling at this podcast right now. It's this good. It's like their favorite movie.
See, but this is the time when
Hey,
people need
well,
to start
hey,
sending.
I'm gonna
Yes,
do
yeah,
Coach
yes,
Ricky's job
exactly.
real quick. One
Speaking
second.
of, if you guys have something you want us to talk about on the podcast, you need to message us, Oliver. Tell him how.
You can actually hit us up.
What's in the box?
The best way to hit us up.
7. You gotta
You
love
can
it.
shoot us a message on our Facebook page, the Fifth Stripe Podcast. We would love to answer your questions live. But with that being said, we actually had an opportunity to talk to some of our listeners this weekend, and we got a couple of topics that they want to talk about.
Did we?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. The movie's called Body of Lies.
Body of Lies.
It's good. Check it out. Leonardo DiCaprio, who I wanted to hate for a really long time,
Oh,
but you know
fucking
what?
Leo.
I can't, dude. That motherfucker is
Leo.
good.
Hardcore.
You know, I saw
Leo.
Romeo and Juliet. And I was like, man, that's bullshit.
Professor, you kind
But-
of look like Leonardo.
You know what? I've heard that before. I don't know if it's true or not,
Let's
but
be
I've
honest.
heard it on
Leo
many
DiCaprio's
occasions.
mini-me.
Let's be honest. You look like Leo DiCaprio in What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Oh shit!
I mean,
Or Leo DiCaprio if he was in a machinist
Hold
instead
up,
of Christian
hold
Bale.
up. In character or just
Slim Pickens.
No. Hey, Oliver, just as a character or in character as Gilbert Grape?
Hold on. Professor, with the shaved head, with the shaved head, you look more like Leo from The Departed.
good.
Ah, yeah.
Oh yeah. From the
So,
Departed.
Yeah,
Just a brief rundown of
The
celebrities.
Departed.
A brief rundown of the celebrities I've been compared to. By far, Leonardo DiCaprio is number one. Okay, I got a ton. It's second.
Elton John is
No,
what I see.
Forrest Griffin.
my Rocket
I
Man.
got a lot of Forrest Griffins.
I
don't know.
can see Forrest
I
Griffin.
see it like our ears are kind of the same.
He's
A lot of
205
Forrest
pounds,
Griffins.
Professor.
I got a couple of Matt Damons and
What? Matt Damon.
hold up, I got one Brad Pitt. That's real.
So that
What,
person
like
was drunk.
in Benjamin Button because you're old as fuck.
See, this is what
I'm just
happens
saying,
when you
that's
cruise
real.
the blind schools. That's what happens.
That's
She,
real.
She touched his face and she was like, "Oh, your face feels like."
He's like this chick. This chick I
Just
swiped
saying.
on Tinder. Her name was Helen Keller. Man, she said I look good.
Oh,
I look
shit.
real
She-
good.
You
yeah,
swiped right on that.
Swipe right on that.
Oh, you swipe right on all of them.
Exactly. Hey, for real though. Let's get into some of these listener
I had a random burly woman tell me I was handsome today. That's real.
That's cool. She was probably wondering if
burly
rock climbing.
She was burly. She was burly.
So,
she was out of my weight class.
What are these topics you got from suggestions?
So we got a couple of topics that we had a couple people ask us about. First one, kind of a light topic because I feel like it's easy. Cups in BJJ.
Illegal.
Bullshit.
Illegal. You cannot wear it.
That was my answer.
Stupid shit.
So here's my thing. I have a question for you, Professor.
Yes, sir.
If this is an MMA athlete, they will spar following the training session.
That's right.
Immediately following the training session.
Put your cup on after.
Professor Allen, that's another point I was going to make. It doesn't take that long to put on a jock and a cup.
Like 3 seconds.
So
you can wear the jock.
You wear your jock strap.
But also, in a sense, this person, if they are an MMA fighter, need to learn to roll with this cup.
Yeah, they can do that in the MMA class.
In the MMA class.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Okay, so
I think that's actually what brought up the topic. The person who brought it up was actually came from primarily a no-gi background, so I'm sure they had the opportunity to train with.
Okay, so look, if you get to wear a cup, I get to carry like a brick or a square piece of wood, and I get to use it how I want to.
It's like, are you going to lay that brick on your chest?
Well, that's what you have in your pants. You know what I mean? It's not fair.
I think part of part of the things that we do here is we educate people.
That's what I say.
So we're educating people. So the reasons that the cup is not allowed in jiu-jitsu is multiple.
It's dangerous.
Number one, it creates extra leverage on certain submissions.
So imagine you have someone flatten somebody out.
100%.
Imagine being in a triangle.
As Professor said, when you flatten somebody out and you're on the back.
And you're on the back and you're on top.
Yep.
You know, without a cup, you can really be a dick and fucking squeeze the shit out of someone and they're in pain.
Absolutely.
So imagine you have that and you put that right on their
Dude,
fucking back.
Part of the cauliflower on my ear came directly from a cup. I shot in, I hit the guy's cup with my ear, and I have a piece of the cauliflower ear on my ear is directly from a cup.
So
now,
technically, if the cup wasn't there,
I wouldn't have got it.
So who was it? Who was it?
Professor Isai.
So you always remember your first.
Well,
that's beautiful.
It was.
I think that was his boner.
It was not.
That's what I was trying to get to. That was,
you're like, are you ready to roll? He's like, I'm just excited.
It was not. But to answer the question, it's illegal to wear a cup in jiu-jitsu. So if you're going to train
for multiple reasons,
if you're going to train MMA, that's fine. That's great. You need to wear a cup. But when you're training jiu-jitsu, you need to follow those rules. And when you train MMA, you follow those rules.
And if you are a new person training jiu-jitsu,
leave your fucking cup at home.
You're just very enthused. You're trying to get all your fight gear. You're trying to get all your rash guards and your shorts, and you're trying to look real cool when you go there.
You get your tights from justgipants.com.
You get your tights from justgipants.com.
Pow.
However, you do not need a cup.
Pow. And look, to be honest too, like this is 100% honesty. You need to learn how to move and operate in a way that protects your nuts.
Oh, I do MMA without a cup.
I literally do the Buffalo
too.
Bill.
You know what? I did too. All the times I train MMA, I've never worn a cup. You for real. It's like when people complain about having a wall in the training. You know what I mean? You need to have a wall. You know what I mean? You need to have boundaries. You need to understand your area. What if you were fighting on a cliff? That's a real thing.
Wait, if someone complained about a wall as if like a building would just be endless.
People complain about the wall
Professor
all the
Brandon,
time.
that's why the comment that your friend mentioned about
that's ridiculous.
Who are you calling my friend?
Well, the person said
well, okay, we're coworkers. That's correct. We are coworkers. I didn't say we're friends.
All right,
that's
Professor Dracula. Well, hang on. Professor Draculino said I don't got to talk to him outside of work.
There you go.
No, he suggested that.
So Oliver, was this a question because the person who asked the question was wearing a cup? Tell the truth.
No.
Okay.
Yes.
No,
it was not.
She was not wearing a cup.
She was not wearing
What's
a
the
cup.
next question?
So next question. We only got two, but guys, seriously, submit some messages into us. Next question.
Oh, what's in the box?
What's in the box?
Well, hey, look.
Put it in every box. What's in the box?
Look, I tell you what. You guys can message me, Brandon Mullins on Facebook. Message me.
He won't reply for 2 or 3 days.
I was about to say, in about 2 years,
It'll take me 2 to 3 business days to respond. However,
no holidays.
we'll try to talk about it.
Let me get a little honest here. I'm a little upset. There's so much push of this fucking Coach Ricky Instagram, right? Nobody's talking about fucking Bertinho 41.
Oh, I'm sorry, we're not fucking playing with your.
I'm sorry, we're not Latin. We can't say that your name very well.
Portuguese and Latin are two different languages.
I mean, like Bertinho, like I don't even know.
Bertinho.
If you want to reach Professor Brandon, I'll just give you his phone number right now.
Don't do that. Do not do that.
1-800-713.
You can slide in my DMs and ask me any jiu-jitsu question.
It's pronounced Bertinho.
Hey guys, so one thing I've seen at the academy is a lot of our training partners, they've had bruised eyelids, bruised cheekbones, and this is one thing I tell a lot of the jiu-jitsu players. I always say, whenever you're passing a guard, right? So if you're in reverse,
don't lead with your face.
You need to cover your face, right?
I lead with my face. I lead with my face.
Well, what I mean is this. What I mean is this, right? You can do an over/under. You can do an over/under pass, but you're gonna put your head in as a rhino, right? You're not gonna come up with your nose up, and you're gonna get kneed in the face, right? So what I mean by is you need to cover your own ass, right? Because if I'm training with someone that I don't understand or that I don't know or they're new, I don't know they're going to be swinging their knees or elbows all. But if I know if I'm going to be, rolling with Coach Ricky, I know he's not going to throw that knee. So there's a certain level of trust there, right? So I never had a bruised eye, bruised cheek, or a broken tooth, because I block my fucking face. So if you're in reverse side control and you're going to try to go to mount, you keep your forearm up, right? What do you guys think?
Yeah, well, I mean, you never need to forget that it's your job to protect yourself at all times. I mean, one of the things I tell people all the time, and I always get a strange look when I tell them, is that, like, if you're injured, don't tell anybody. Nobody fucking cares. If you're injured, they're gonna
feel what you feel.
Yeah, they're gonna train super hard anyways. Nobody cares if your back is hurt or your elbow is hurt or your knee is hurt. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm not saying these people are like maliciously trying to hurt you. But you know what? If your knee is messed up and they train with you and they mess their knee up more, when they go home, they're okay.
Professor Brandon, unless you're Coach Ricky. Coach Ricky.
No, but seriously, you know what I mean?
What he's saying,
you got to protect yourself at all times.
What he's saying about that, one of the things I used to do was like, oh man, this is hurt, this is hurt, this is hurt. Next thing you know, I'm getting fucking wrist locked on my bad hand. So he told me, he's like, no one cares if you're hurt. Don't tell anybody you're injured. Tap if you get in a position that you can't handle. That's the best mentality. I'll come in injured all the time, but I mean, I'm not going to tell anybody until it gets to that point.
You got to protect yourself at all times, because when you get injured, you are the only person that is affected. Nobody else. And again, I'm not trying to imply that your training partners are out there trying to hurt you, but just from a realistic standpoint, nobody cares, man. Just protect yourself at all times.
There's positions where you don't have control. For example, like if I'm going to shoot a double leg on somebody and I get kneed, hey, that shit happens, right?
Yeah, it's part of the game.
It happens.
That's part of the game.
But if I'm going to try and mount you and I'm reverse and I'm just trying to cover your hips and I get kneed in the face, that's my fault.
You're right. You have to realize certain positions, certain things are going to happen. Another time you get kneed in the face all the time is like if you're in somebody's half guard and you're trying to really if they're playing like an open half guard and you're really trying to squash that top leg down. Yeah. A lot of times they're going to try to circle it out. They're going to hit you right in the chin. They're going to knock your teeth together. Whose fault is that? Nobody's really. You know what I mean? They're trying to recover their guard. You're trying to push it down. Yeah, it's a combat sport. It's not ballet. You know what I mean? You're going to get bumps and bruises.
I see people at our school. Some guys bruises every week on their fucking face. Yo, how long have we been training? I've never had a bruise on my face.
I constantly have bruises on my face. All the fucking time.
But a lot of times it depends on the position, like we're talking about, right?
It depends on your style.
So, first,
yeah, it depends on you're right. It depends on your style and your personality.
He's like aggressive, head down. Like I always tell him, I'm like, your style with Ricky and your style, like if Ricky's more, like tight this and that, you're more free flowing, moving around, stuff like that.
You got to understand, I'm waiting for the Facebook Live, so I can't mess up the face, right? So I'm covering
close that distance.
What's next? What's the next question?
Next topic, someone asked us about top 5 tips for new white belts. So I figure we could go around the table.
Yeah, sure.
Everybody give a couple suggestions.
Austin, why don't you go
people have been
first?
Here around for a little bit.
We'll give them the top 1, 2, 3, 4,
Sure.
5, 6, 7.
Okay, so
Top 7.
Top 5-7 tips.
Like I was a morbidly obese white belt.
Hang on, I wouldn't say morbidly.
Morbidly obese.
You were obese.
Yeah, and
Have you seen the pictures?
Yeah, it wasn't morbid.
He looks like a young
when I
Hank Hill.
competed at the Houston Open,
Ryan's big.
101 pounds lighter than when I competed, or than
Wow.
when
How much?
my first day.
101.
My first day of jiu-jitsu to the last Houston Open was a 101 pound loss.
You're kidding me.
That's crazy.
Are you serious? And you're a rapper?
Yeah.
Wow.
A dope rapper at that.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm
So,
impressed.
The thing about jiu-jitsu that I would say, so I'm a remedial student, right? I do like a shitload of tutoring.
Well, hang on. Let's be clear. You're a great student because you work hard when you're there and you ask questions and you listen.
Right. I want to learn.
Go figure.
However, I put a lot of work into being mediocre at jiu-jitsu, and I'm comfortable with this fact. It's the only thing that I've ever done in my whole life where I want to work really, really, really hard to someday achieve the rank of average.
No, you're already above average, man.
I appreciate that, Professor.
You're putting in the work. It's going to pay off.
Lion, the Tom DeBlas, mentality. You're awesome, dude. You did great.
I thank you for that, but respectfully, I would disagree with my own personal level of achievement. So the important thing is that you keep going to jiu-jitsu class. That's the number one thing, is that
Don't
you
quit.
have to go. You can't get better at jiu-jitsu watching awesome John Danaher videos on your work computer. It's cool to know stuff, and it's cool to recognize situations, but your reaction time and your body positioning and your experimentation and your exploration of all these various positions, it can only be accomplished by sweat on the mat in the gi during class, during training, during live training, right? This is the only time you really get to play with this stuff in an actual lifelike type of situation. And so my number one thing is go.
Okay, so
You don't wanna
show
go?
up. Professor Berto, what's your
Show up.
advice? What's one tip you got?
So my tip for a new white belt would be anytime you get to train with a higher rank, whether it's a blue belt or whether it's a black belt, regardless, I would say just try your best. A higher rank is not going to be impressed by you coming at them quivering and being like, I don't know what to do. with
Please don't
you.
beat me.
Yeah, don't beat me up. I know you're so good. Cut that bullshit out. I know you feel awkward. Just come at them as hard as you can without
Use what you know.
use what you know,
Use
right?
what you know.
So don't claw at them, right? Clearly, don't throw no elbows, right? But come at them with your best jujitsu, because that is what's going to make you better, right? They will give you reactions that you will not have seen, or at least are not ready for, and you need to be ready for it. So,
And they'll be more impressed if you come at them. They're going to be more impressed if you just try to do jiu-jitsu rather than trying to show them something like some crazy thing you saw.
yeah, I remember being a white belt and having either you or Professor Dracolino ask me to train with them, and I was never of course I was like, oh my god, this is such an honor, but at the same time I was never like, oh, I have to train any differently. I would come at them as hard as I could, as technically as I could, and most of the time they would just shut me down. But that is what's best for you as a white belt to help you learn, and it's also the proper etiquette, right? I don't care. I'm a black belt now. If a white belt comes up to me, he's like, I don't know what to do. I feel so. You're gonna beat me up. It kind of leads me into a weird default where I have to go into consoling them and then being like, no, just train normal, no, just go at them at the best of your ability, which will not be enough, and that is okay.
Also, too, you from your, you talk about being a white belt, you want to be a training partner who the upper belts want to train with.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because that's beneficial for you. So if you just come at them, if you train hard and you don't give up and you try to use what you learn, the higher ranks are naturally going to want to train with you, and that's going to benefit you. You know what I mean?
They will respect you on the account that you're not gonna like pussy out of shit.
Yeah, exactly. Ryan, what do you think? What's your number one tip?
I mean, as a recently evolved white belt to blue belt,
He's a Pokemon.
I am actually, but
Charizard.
honestly, it's don't believe your own bullshit. Don't believe, whatever ego you're starting to develop on the mat. I mean, if you're sitting there and you're submitting, multiple white belts, or you're staying out in the middle and you're this, that, and the other, you got to realize that your best game isn't the same. You might be playing your best game against somebody's worst game, and so it's not the same. But I'll be brief. Just show up, no matter what. Never miss a Monday. Make it a point to show up Monday, train your ass off, and set the tone for the week. Because if you can go through a full day at work, 9 to 5 or whatever you work, and still come in and put in an hour or two on the mats, that's going to be more for your personal growth than anything else. So don't quit. Always show up. Be consistent, and the rest will take care of itself.
Consistency is key.
What about you, Professor Brandon?
I would say listen to your coaches.
Not your parents?
No, I would say listen to your professors, man. This is something I wish I would have done more when I wrestled, when I did judo, when I did jiu-jitsu. Your coaches and your professors, they can see things that you can't see, and they are trying to help you. They have your best interest in mind. And if you think they're really trying to sabotage you, go to a different school. But I guarantee you, most of the time, they're doing their best to help you get better. So you need to listen to them.
No, I saw a thing that I shared recently on Facebook, and I tagged you in it.
You saw something you shared?
I saw something I shared. They're called memories.
Facebook memories.
Memories, yeah. Or memories.
Look it up, bro. Look it up.
But
I'm not
anyway,
FB savvy. I'm gonna have Professor Brandon teach me.
Yeah,
that
so
once we get past Linux.
it was something that said, like, if at first you don't succeed, try doing what your coach told you to do the first time.
Exactly. 100%.
And I tagged you in that, and I think you commented. You were like,
exactly.
I think you were like, public service announcements. Your coaches are not trying to sabotage you, or something like that.
That's true. It's true.
Yeah, so it's like, do what your coach is telling you to do.
Yeah, 100%.
And you know what?
Man.
There's been plenty of times, Professor, that one time I don't know exactly the position. You were coaching my brother. You said to do something. My brother did so, and it put him in a worse predicament. It was because you couldn't see the correct angle of the position, right? And then after the fact, you went to my brother. You were like, "Man, I'm so sorry. I didn't see that your foot was trapped. This is the wrong thing to do." So people make mistakes in general.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, but
you could have given an example of me coaching and it worked out, but instead you chose to pick an example where I coached and it didn't work out. I appreciate that.
And my brother was still a good student and did what you told him to do. He did it. He did what you told him to do, which is the right thing to do.
That's Coach Ricky right there.
That's true. That's
the right thing to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
they're there to help you. You know what I mean?
They're there to help you.
Professor Allen, what do you think? What's number one?
One thing that I would say, and I think the biggest problem of any new student coming in, right, white, blue belt, is don't compare yourself to others, right? I mean, I remember myself being a blue belt, sparring with black belts, older black belts at my age right now, right? And I'm thinking, man, I'm the shit.
57?
I'm thinking, not that old, right?
Exactly.
But I was a 26-year-old, 27-year-old.
Say 57?
26.
20, is that when Goonies was released when you were 26?
No, 26, 27-year-old. I'm training 4 or 5 times a week in shape, running to the gym, lifting weights. Shaved as well, right?
Just shave, Professor.
You don't touch that fucking hair, Professor.
So,
leave every part of that hair.
Everyone wants to touch it, not just me. Anyways, so what I'm saying is this: don't compare yourself to others, right? Because that's mistake number one. Because if anyone starts comparing themselves to other people, you can't do that. You can't compare yourself to a pro. You can't compare yourself to someone who comes once a week. You can't compare to someone who doesn't train, who comes once every 2 months. And Ryan, you wrote a post.
Lesson I had to learn.
You wrote a post on Facebook the other day, and I think a comment I wrote back to you, and I was like, hey man, now is the time that you're going to learn now, because now you need to know how to prioritize your life, right? When you have a family, when you have responsibilities, you need to put things in order, right?
Yeah, so I've been like in a crisis. I'm like, oh, should I quit? Should I do this?
Well,
like,
it's
like it was more or less like, here we go. Like I went through what I thought I'd never go through. Like I was like, oh, how are these guys gonna quit? How are these guys gonna let their families take over jiu-jitsu? And then I'm getting ready to get married. I have a kid. All this. I mean, it was like a ready-made family. All of a sudden, I'm like, okay, well, you got a promotion at work. I mean, it was just all this stuff combined. And then at the same time, I'm injured. I blew my MCL out, and then I broke my hand like back to back. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I've got this going on. I got the family. I got this. Like, is this even worth it? And then I realized
yes,
it is worth it.
Yes.
Just like in the training, you just got to adjust.
So, Coach Ricky, what do you say? What's your number one tip?
I think my number one tip is you got to learn to train safely. Because if someone's coming
so
in,
that's just to clarify, that's safe for you and safe for your partner.
Yeah. So like if you want to really get better, then you have to train, and you can't train if you're really hurt. So you have to learn to train safe enough to protect yourself, and then at a certain level, you will be able to train so safely that you can protect your partner as well.
That's right. And that goes back to what Professor Berto said. Like you want the upper belts to want to train with you. And I can tell you that Professor Ricky is probably the number one training partner in the whole school. And I think everyone...
I can tell because you don't want to train with me anymore.
That was actually Coach Ricky,
Professor,
sir. Not
You are a little rough.
Professor Brandon.
Please.
No, I do that on purpose, Professor Allen.
You haven't trained with me since I'm a white belt. Like I don't know.
First of all, that's a lie.
I mean, you've been ducking me the whole time.
That's a lie.
Okay.
Second of all, Professor Berto, we're hardly training in the same class together. Every now and then, occasionally. And I tell you what, show up at 6:30 a.m. Let's do it. Yeah.
What exactly. Is that time? What is that time?
I train with everybody. Thank you very much.
I go to sleep at like around midnight, and then when I wake up, it's like 9 a.m. So I have no idea what you're talking about.
That ain't my problem.
Hey,
Coach Ricky, go finish up your thought there.
Yeah, no, I mean that was the end of it. Training safely, because if you are able to train safely, you will be able to train
consistently
for years.
That's right.
So like what he was saying, I saw a documentary on Netflix. It's a basketball, and one of the coaches.
We're gonna be here for another hour.
No,
basketball.
It's simple.
Basketball.
But the concept is the same. So one of the coaches said this: there's two different things between being hurt and being injured, right? If you tell me,
no, that's from the program. It's a football movie.
No, it's he said he may have gotten it from there, but whatever.
Sir, I'll Google it. It's from the program.
It may be
James Caan.
And the guy that juiced up and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna."
Latimer.
That's not what I saw. That's not what I saw. But anyways, if
Steven Dorff too.
If you say, "Do I train hurt every day?" If you say, "Do I train hurt every day?" I train hurt every day, right? Something's wrong with I have something wrong with me, but I that's the process that I'm doing to go ahead and getting checked up. But can I still train? Yes. Right? Am I injured that I cannot train? No. So it is what it is, right? So that's pretty much going off what Coach Rick is saying.
Yeah, you're never gonna be like 100% okay all of the time, but you're okay to train.
You train consistently, right?
Like I've had a hurt shoulder for the past year and a half, but it's not like it's not stopping me from.
It's not career ending.
Yeah,
I'm not injured.
Yeah, I can keep training with it. I'm just trying to be safer now that I know my shoulder's hurt.
It's his right shoulder, guys.
But even if I'm training with somebody, even just being able to see what's around you and see the mat and notice when you are getting close to another person, that can really prevent a lot of injuries.
And people you train a lot with, they know when you're hurt or not, right? I mean, I'm sure if you train with me, you're like, man, are you all right? I mean, because
you can tell when something's different. You know what I mean?
What about Coach Oliver over here? What's your advice?
Well, I'm kind of an asshole about it. I just say show up and just shut the fuck up and pay attention to what's going on in class. I mean,
it's good advice.
You get a lot of these people that come in. It's like, what are we working on today? Guard passing. I've done this technique 4 times right, but that's a bajillion times.
Oliver, that's a great point. Like, I don't want to make anybody feel bad, but like when somebody comes in late and they say, "What are we doing?" I want so bad to scream at them, just look what everyone else is doing and copy them.
Why did these guys skip the warm-ups? Like, what's the point of that? Like, I don't want to be warmed up before I perform. Like, I did the Houston Open. I got called in. I didn't warm up, and I got manhandled by this gigantic buffoon guy.
You say that,
like,
but we have
buffoon. You don't often hear that.
He didn't have a great personality, so I assumed he was a buffoon.
I feel like
that was a nice drop.
Was the best description you could use. But it is weird because you do have those people that have the ability. I'm again not saying any names, but we have some very accomplished brown belts in our school that will show up late, maybe get there in time for like 2 of the 3 techniques. Have
you seen the Born Identity?
And
you know what he'll do to you?
Right. And then come live roll or live training, they'll impose their will on you.
It's a real life Jason Bourne.
There is a lot of people that do that, but that I feel like that's also something that can be developed. I mean, who I'm referencing is someone who's also trained other martial arts.
Right. Real talk.
I think we all know who I'm talking about here without saying names, but these are people who come from different backgrounds. But you get a lot of these new people coming in, even white belts that, no experience or, I trained a couple months at these other schools and you get in there and, even seeing this stuff, doing intros for people, we do a very basic intro, slip a punch, double leg, mount control, go for the Americana. If they adjust, go for the arm bar, attack the opposite arm, right? And the thing that I tell people all the time, which applies not only in the introduction, but I feel like in everything that we teach technique-based is if we're teaching a technique that has 8 steps, go slow and do each 8 steps properly.
Yeah.
Because when you get into a real life situation, your adrenaline's going, you got a cloudy memory, you're ready to go for it. If you've trained all 8 steps, you can accomplish a submission or, a throw, a positional control with 5 of those steps. But if you come in here muscling through, trying to rush through things and only learn 5 steps, your percentage slowly starts getting lower.
One thing, if I can add to that just really quick, if the instructor makes a point of saying something specific like do this or put your hand here
or like your left hand left,
other left or move your hip this way, if your instructor goes to if he makes a point of saying something, at the very least make sure you're doing those things, the things that he points out. Even if you're missing the other stuff, at the very least make sure you're doing the things that he points out specifically, because
Absolutely.
It's important.
Well, that just like you said, I mean, even if you're in a position, your instructor's like, put your right foot here, like he's directing a twister game. If you do that and your technique still fails and you have questions about it, that is a good time to approach your instructor and address it. And if you can't answer it in that 5 minutes after the mat, private lessons are as an option.
I do it all the time. I'll mess up or I'll fuck up.
But not with the hair, right? But not with the hair.
No, of course not. No, there's a technique. I may do it a little differently, and I'll go ahead and I'll ask you, and I'll be like, "Hey, is it all right if I grab here then here?" Right? Because I may be doing a variation of the technique. Right? Doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong, but it's just different, right? I mean,
but that's something that comes along more with experience.
No, yes.
Players, you're not gonna have a white belt being it's like, look, so I saw this clock choke you did, but what if I decide to put my head here and throw my knee on, like, you're like, yeah, that's great and all, but
white belts are like that.
But one thing you have to realize is that when you're teaching a beginner, and this is for their benefit, you know what I mean? Like you want to make things as clear as possible, right? You don't want to have any sort of confusion. So you want to make things as black and as white as possible. However, the reality is very gray.
No,
but you can't introduce like for instance, is it possible to submit somebody while you're inside their closed guard?
Sure.
Yes. That is a technical possibility. However,
something we want to throw around.
Yeah.
Highly unlikely.
Yeah, exactly. It's highly unlikely, and it's very specific to a certain scenario. So in the beginning, it is helpful to say to a white belt or a blue belt or a purple belt, never do that.
I say this,
but you got to understand that all the belts leading up to black belt, you need to be black and white. Once you get your black belt, everything becomes gray.
Absolutely. That is probably one of the
what about techniques like the Berimbolo or something? Like all these like trendy positions. Like you got guys that are like, oh, Berimbolo doesn't work, and now they're all going to worm guard, like the Neon brothers.
First of all
of a sudden,
everything works until you learn to defense, and that's the thing.
Okay,
like the innovation of techniques like spurs the innovation for defense. Like offense spurs innovation for defense, and defense spurs innovation for offense. Like it's constantly pushing the game back.
Look,
someone starts like, hey, this guy does this every time.
absolutely any technique can be made to work given the correct circumstance.
The only 100% technique in IBJJF sport is the triple tap. That is the only thing that works.
Okay, so I'm always confused when you say that. Are you talking about tapping 3 times?
That's what I'm
Or
three.
are you talking about tapping with like 3 different things, like 2 hands and 1 foot, or 2 feet and 1 hand?
Are you doing the Squidward dance?
Look, I'm going to be honest with
Or
you.
you tap, your coach taps, and a friend
Judging
taps.
by everybody at this table, I expect very little rhythm. So that's 3 taps with 1 digit.
Me and Austin got enough rhythm for all of you.
That is true. You guys have got more soul than Foot Locker, bro. Like, I believe that.
We'll play Smoke on the Water right now.
Speaking about
Smoke in the Water doesn't count. That's the first guitar song.
speaking about like students learning, what I cannot understand is whenever a student asks for help,
Yes.
right, and we come over,
And it doesn't pay.
And they don't listen.
No, they do listen. Miracle, they listen, right? They
That one time.
they get the movement down, right? We see them get the movement down, and we say, "Yes, you got it. Keep doing that." And then we leave, come back, and they're doing it the wrong way that we corrected initially. Like, if you get a coach to tell you that that is correct, you need to remember what that feels like in your body, and then just keep repping that out, because you need to make the response automatic.
Well,
Right? So you can't think about step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. Your counter needs to be automatic. So once a coach
Bam,
walks by,
bam, boom.
But that's
once a coach
something
walks
that's
by and
developed.
tells you like, hey, you got the movement down, you need to lock in that movement in your head and keep doing it.
That's what you focus on, timing.
not revert back to your initial
Yeah, you know,
mistakes.
one
I
thing
don't
I-
understand that.
Well, one thing I tell the white belts too, and not, I shouldn't say white belts. You know, I know we're not trying.
We don't see color on the fifth
Yeah.
stripe.
But look, we're not. You know,
Yeah, you're a blue belt.
we're not
for
trying to
yourself,
hate
buddy.
on all the white
think
belts out
Austin's
there, all the
amazing.
blue belts,
Brian's amazing.
all the purples. But one thing we're trying to do is we're trying to help people to learn a little bit better. And one thing that I tell the fundamental class a lot is like, look, if you've ever been to a professional baseball game, the first thing they do is play catch. I mean, how ridiculous is that? People have been playing baseball for 15 years, 20 years. They're still playing catch. What that should tell you is that you never ever give up on the fundamentals. You know what I mean? You have to always revisit things.
Well,
You have to always constantly evolve. You know, I mean, I've learned a wealth of different things watching Professor Draculino teach a fundamental class. Got this.
Yeah,
You got to always check off and make sure you're doing things correctly.
I've been technically in charge of the kids program for I'd say maybe 2 years.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So, like, and even during this time, anytime I have Professor Draculino like grace the kids class
Mhm.
and teach himself
Celebrity
like,
appearance.
like I'm not even looking at the kids when he's teaching.
Yeah.
I am looking at him and seeing how I could teach it better.
Yeah.
Because like he is so good with the kids. Like he's really, really good. And it's amazing because he has so many world champions. So he's able to teach jujitsu at such a high level.
Different levels.
However, the kids fucking love him.
My
You know
favorite
what's
part
funny?
is when
He's
he.
like Grandpa Drag. He
I-
just walks in, they love him.
I love when he shaves
Uncle
his
Drac,
head.
I'll say that. Sorry, Professor.
I love when he shaves his head and pretends to be a different person, like his cousin,
Oh,
and the kids are really confused. This is so amazing.
he
So
doesn't, he
good.
doesn't have to shave his head.
What does he call? What does he call himself? Mauricio?
No, cousin. No, he's just his cousin.
Hey, it's
he's
my
just like,
cousin
that's my
over
cousin.
here.
He's like, no,
Oh,
that's
man.
not you guys.
I'm pretty
like
sure
my
I'm cousins
And
with all of you based on
It's
that.
so good.
You know what the cool thing is now that picture is a little old, so it has him with just 4 stripes. So he'll be like, "Nah, guys, look, I have 5 stripes. That's my cousin. He has
Oh.
4
The fifth
stripes."
stripe.
Fuck, that's
So
amazing,
It
dude.
fucks them up.
There it is.
That's amazing.
Hey, but honestly, just another note.
5th degree.
I think there's a light bulb moment for a lot of like younger guys that are practicing. You guys have been doing this for 8, 10, whatever years. Practitioning. But like for me, Professor Berto taught a class. He taught a class last Christmas. Not many people there, whatever. It was like 15
Merry
people on the mat.
Christmas, bitches.
But it was the technique that he taught, the arm weave, pass right there.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been a staple in any of my passing that I do from here on out. And it was
Hashtag Professor Orlando Sanchez for showing me that. Thank you, sir.
yeah, it was an innocuous, Saturday right before Christmas class. And he
ACC
taught
world champ.
And he taught that technique, and it's something that I've just done over and over and over. And I pass everybody's guards with it, except, well, I haven't trained with you since it's
Did he tell you Merry? Did he tell you Merry Christmas?
That's a lie.
I don't pass everybody's guard, but a lot of the people my level or whatever, I can pass their guard easily. And it's because of that pass. Like you weave the legs, you drop your shoulder.
Easily. That's a bold statement.
I mean, it
was a key word right there.
That is a bold statement.
It's a great
easily.
technique. Hey, if you guys have
And if you notice, his eyes, like his pupils dilated.
Bro,
he looked at us.
At least 3 times
he looked directly at me and you.
I used it at least 3 times tonight. That technique he taught, I'm telling you, it's a light bulb moment for us. Like you can teach us the barambolos and all this, but until you push something that connects to our game and how we see jiu-jitsu,
man,
it doesn't matter.
I'll tell you, there's moves that I've learned as a white belt that I still use today, right?
We call them techniques.
The thing is, as an instructor, you want to teach the student the best move for him, right? Not the best technique in your arsenal. You want to teach him the best thing for them.
you got to teach. It always starts with general. And then it moves to specific, right?
Specifico.
So yeah, exactly, specifico.
Like Bertino.
You have to teach
like concepts, right?
Yeah, you got to teach general first and then specific second.
Professor, you are the best at teaching concepts.
Exactly.
Like
I don't know about that.
You spend a good 15 minutes on just like this is what side control is,
bro.
That shit matters, man. It does matter.
That shit matters.
It does matter.
He's like this move goes to this move to this move to this move. Like the whole side control system you taught me. Like it was like mind blowing. Like, oh wow, they're gonna defend.
Man, I've heard you talk about side control, and I've been like, man, I don't even realize I fucking do that. I'm like, I do that shit.
Well, but that stuff
I didn't even realize it.
Look, that stuff is important. You know what I mean? Like if you don't know what you're doing, when something goes wrong, how can you fix it?
Yeah, you can't.
You know, so you have to know what's going on, even if you're doing it horribly wrong, which we've all done. You still have to know what you're at least trying to do. So when it goes, you got to know the why.
You take a systems approach.
So when if it goes wrong, we can fix it. But if you use words like kind of and sort of to describe your jiu-jitsu, you're not on the right track, man. You got to be definite with at least not what you did, but what you're trying to do. So when things go wrong, now we can fix them.
Evaluate.
But you do believe that jiu-jitsu has a great, for a systems-based approach. Everything you've ever taught me has been like, okay, well, you're going to start in full guard and you're going to do this, this, and this. If they do this, you do this. Like it's kind of like a flow chart. Like
it makes sense.
It is systematic. You know what I mean?
One of the ways I kind of like, even when we do intros, like describe jiu-jitsu, it's like being stuck in the center of a spider web, right? And you can only get out by walking on the web. Now you can walk that one.
How else would you get out?
Walk on the ground.
Pull out a fucking knife.
I mean, if you weren't walking on the web, how else would you get out?
Slang that.
Not all of us are fucking biology majors,
I'm just
Professor motherfucker.
Well, speaking of biology, spider silk is stronger. Is stronger than steel. Exactly.
But how many mitochondria do they have?
Huh?
Exactly.
Spider silk doesn't have any mitochondria.
Well, there you go. There's your answers.
It's not alive.
It's not alive.
And to answer our listener's third question, how much mitochondria does spider silk have? Zero.
Yeah.
Fact checker, Coach Ricky.
What's in the box?
What's in the box? What's in the box?
At Justin Timberlake, it's a dick in the box always.
So, Twist, do we have a get the fuck out of here question?
We don't have a get the fuck out of here. We don't, unfortunately. But
We should do an Ask Brandon Mullins question.
Well,
like,
no, that's what the get the fuck out of here. is. We'd like to go ahead and put a word out to our listeners right now. Seriously, hit us up. We have fun here talking a lot. We have fun getting into different topics, but we really want to interact with you guys.
This has been no fun.
Yeah, I mean,
if you have
Austin's actually
if you have a ridiculous comment or a ridiculous question,
it doesn't matter. Dragon,
send it to us.
Yeah,
I'll listen to it, and then I will say, "Get the fuck out of here."
He will respond to you in 3 to 4 days with a get the fuck out of here.
No.
After the questions,
Don't address your comment or question directly to Professor Mullins.
Well, if you do,
like my Facebook friend request,
Professor,
3 years later you might get a response.
He's very upset about this.
That was an accident. That was an accident.
It's not that I'm upset, but fuck you.
I was trying to dismiss the request, and I accidentally hit confirm.
But then you realize you're like,
it was a
I
debacle.
can't dismiss this.
Real quick story on how I became Professor Dracolino's friend on Facebook.
But tell us.
So when I first got hired,
did you catfish that motherfucker with some dick pics?
Close.
Cool.
I did not.
Basically.
So when I got hired, I did not have access to the Gracie Baja Facebook, right? I would have to use Professor Dracolino's login to then.
You accepted your own friend request?
I accepted my own.
Shit, that's legendary. That's fucking legendary.
I accepted my own. So Professor Dracolino,
me too.
Professor, I'm sorry if this is you finding out about this, but I was your only involuntary friend request.
Dude, that is fucking legendary.
I accepted
dude.
my own friend request.
Hey,
This is back like 2012, bro. Like I'm blue belt. He doesn't even know who the fuck I am, really.
That is the most amazing thing I've heard this entire year, dude.
Like
That's
Professor,
amazing.
Like Professor Draculino, all you guys have a long time experience. You've worked there. Y'all worked there. I did not see the other side, but it made me appreciate him even more. I've been to all these other schools. I've been to all these other places, and it made me appreciate what we have at Gracie Baja, Texas.
He's the realest person you'll ever meet, man.
You know the only reason I sent Professor Brandon a friend request, right? 2 reasons. 1, JGP.C t-shirt. 2,
You got to earn it.
2,
You got to earn it.
bro,
He didn't win it anyway.
I am a 4-time meme contest.
Oh, shit.
Well,
he did.
that's true, but you know what? Every time
Show
you've
some
won,
respect. Show
one
some
of the
respect on that.
one of the prizes was not a T-shirt. If you
You're
want,
absolutely
if you
correct.
want to win that T-shirt, you gotta fucking earn it.
You are supposed to be able to be on the podcast.
And hey, join Gracie Baja, Texas. If you want to do jujitsu on the south
I
side,
set up, right? Yeah.
Hey, quick thing, Ryan. So we got an event June 29th, right?
March 29th, the qualifiers. We got the best and up and comers: Andrew Tackett, William Tackett. We got Alberto Jimenez. We got some of the best of the best. June 29th, we got the motherfuckers.
There you go.
You know, I said, you know what? I could put one headliner in. I could pack this bitch, but I want to put the whole card because you know what? A lot of these cards they call them super fights. There's nothing super about your fucking fight. Nobody knows that jabroni wriggling on the mat for
It's like watching
Whoa.
Professor.
Nobody knows who the fuck that is. So you know what? I said we're gonna bring Homolo Brawl.
Bold
We're gonna bring
statements.
Gilbert Burns.
God damn.
We're gonna bring Josh
Okay.
Hinger. We're gonna bring Craig Jones.
Okay.
We're gonna bring everybody. You know what? We're gonna
Okay.
make it a fucking party.
Can
That's
I-
what we do.
Not only
I wanna
is
just
Third
tell-
championship dropping names, they're dropping.
It's like his
fucking
picture
bombs.
of
Hang on,
making
so
grappling
I-
great again. I love that.
I wish I could be Donald Trump in that picture.
I love
Dude,
it.
that meme is the greatest grappling meme I've ever seen.
best.
So I want to say one thing. Now, this could be detrimental to my personal safety, but I'm going to say it anyways. I don't understand it, but at the same time, I think it is absolutely hilarious. We had a seminar with Professor Homolopa Hall. He came here, he gave the seminar. And if you don't know, his name is spelled ROMULO.
Romulo.
Homolo, pronounced Portuguese, right? So in Portuguese, the R sound in certain cases
At
is
the beginning of the word
an H, right?
beginning of the word.
Now, or a double R,
or the double R.
like as in Gracie Baja, not Barra. Okay. So he was giving the seminar, and he introduced himself. I think he referred to himself at some point in the seminar as Romulo.
Did that offend you as a white male?
No, it didn't.
Did that trigger you? Were you triggered,
No,
Snowflake?
It didn't
Professor
offend me,
Snowflake?
and it didn't trigger me. I was just very confused about why he would say Romulo instead of Homolo, and I kind
They're
of
fucking gringos.
he's probably like, well, when they see it, it probably makes more sense to
Yeah,
them.
it's like Aaron.
Professor Brandon's a Hanato Laranja follower, obviously.
Yeah, but
Aaron.
Brandon Muyins, right?
but
American Jiu-Jitsu meets
Muyin.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's what
but
happens.
I
Bro,
just
when
I
the
thought it
race
was
draft comes, Berto got you.
I thought it was even more confusing that he would say that
himself.
because now he's gonna like
This just adds to the confusion.
people who were saying Homolo are now gonna like second guess themselves like, well, I mean, he said Romulo,
No.
so should I say that?
So now
I'm gonna
There's a
text.
whole-
I'm gonna
there's a whole
text
lot
him
of
right
assumption
now and call him Romulo.
Professor
That's what he
Homolo Bahal, if you see me, please do not punch me.
Ryan, how are you going to text him and call him Romulo?
I'm gonna actually spell out the phonetic spelling. I'm gonna be like Ro, R-O-E, M-U-H, Lo, L-O-W. Romulo.
It's true.
Then you can put on the side.
pronunciation implied in a text message.
You can
say
put on the
it's regular.
side
But if
how
I
you
spell
say
it out-
pronunciation.
To
And just,
answer Coach Ricky's question, I will send him a voice message because you know what? All my Brazilian friends in the jiu-jitsu community, they send me voice messages. They're not really good with the typing, so they're like,
You should,
"Hey,
Professor
Paul,"
Berto.
you know,
Professor Berto.
it's
That's
Say-
right, because the
Professor
accent doesn't get in the
Berto,
way.
say my Hispanic name again.
Brandon Muyin.
Beautiful.
That's so amazing.
I'm
Sounds
pretty
like
sure
a-
Professor Brandon's gonna go home and like pleasure himself. to
That's
his own
actually on
game.
LA
That's
Confidential on
that's so
Showtime.
amazing,
So if you want
man.
to see
I
him,
love
he's
it.
gonna be like, hey,
Cinemax,
send it to me in a
Up all that with
voicemail.
Ron.
Send it to me in a
Up all that
voicemail.
with Brandon
Brandon
Muhin.
Muyins. Brandon, we're
It sounds like you got
we're gonna branch off a
It sounds like
podcast.
herpes are already like a Brandon.
Dude, we'll talk about 80s music, G.I. Joes, Transformers,
We'll watch
and
some
Teenage
movies,
Mutant Ninja
man.
Turtles.
Hey, we're getting on this. It's gonna be called "Fuck Your Childhood." It's gonna be.
It's going to be called episode 3, motherfuckers. Tune in.
I'm down with that.
All right, guys. Hey, we are getting to the 2-hour mark. This one's ran a little bit longer than usual, but
You're
you know
welcome.
what?
We won't charge you extra.
Yeah, we
feel
won't
like-
charge you extra.
I feel like you guys should
You're
be
welcome.
thanking us. But again, with that being said, let's do some closing up here. You know, another shout out to our sponsor, Saloon Door, has been keeping us super happy tonight.
Listen, we are really happy to give everybody a bunch of free beer and talk about a bunch of bullshit.
Man, you know what? That's the words from a winner right there.
And with Third Coast Grappling, we got March 29th, the qualifiers. We're going to have some of the hottest names in jiu-jitsu. You got your Tackett's, you got your Herberto Jimenez. We got names all day. And then June 29th, we don't got 1. We don't got 2. We got the whole fucking card of super fights. And I'm telling you, it's going to sell out faster than, I'm not going to use what I was going to use. But it's going to sell out really quickly.
Yeah, there you go.
Fast sellout.
Probably good.
Solid.
But with that being said, we also have we're gonna have a special Fifth Stripe podcast coming out on March 28th.
The weigh-ins.
For the weigh-ins here at
brothers.
And you know what? Professor Brandon Mullins will be a little late to the
he's
party.
he's gonna be a little bit late, so the mic might be a little quiet.
Speaking
for a
of,
little
let's
bit,
talk
but
about that
it'll be
last
all right.
sponsor, JustGeePants.com.
JGP.C, JustGeePants.com.
The OG in the game. You rip your gi pants. You call this man. He got you some quality.
Right.
You don't need any more
Top
bullshit.
quality
Look, top
replacement
notch.
gi
Look,
pants,
You want
people.
blue?
The
You want white?
The
You
guarantee.
want blue and white?
Blue or white? You got it.
The
He's got what
guarantee
you
says
need.
6 months on your pants, but you know what? Give him a call with some relationship advice.
I rip my
Something's
pants.
going on, something bad,
Dude, we
man,
can
he
talk
might
about
help you out.
relationships. We can talk about your taxes, whatever
That
you
is true.
want.
No, it's
I mean,
great.
I'm there. I am available to people who want to talk.
Real quick before we go. Do you wear your your spats as a man underneath your gi pants, or
They're
do you
called
just
tights,
go all
man.
natural?
Dude,
Look,
I am
spats
one-
are
You
what
wear
Scrooge McDuck
spats?
wore.
We're
That's
not
like
supposed
that's
to
what
wear
a duck
anything
cartoon
underneath
character
your
wears on
pants
his feet.
unless
I was
Spats.
called, and you know what? Not to offend anybody, I was called a fag
Whoa.
for wearing
Whoa.
for wearing
Cigarettes?
a British cigarettes. I was called a fag, but no, I'm telling you, I was called one of Oliver's, one of their main things over there.
My
But
people.
I was wearing spats underneath my gi pants because I didn't like
Tights.
the feeling. And Professor Lucas from our own
required
school, he
to go
said,
for it.
"Hey, that's not
I don't mind the spats by its. I don't mind the spats under the
Tights.
gi. Whatever.
Tights.
I do mind the
Tights.
no gi tights by itself with the rash guard.
Tights.
And we talked about the cup,
That's
so
some
your dick's
bullshit.
hanging out, whatever. Don't wear no-gi pants.
Whoa.
So with closing,
It was.
I feel like what we have established,
Ladies
is
and
we've
gentlemen,
got
don't
some-
wear tights and fucking rash
We've
guard
got
by
some
itself. Wear
amazing
some fucking
sponsors,
shorts.
Saloon Door, JGP.C.
And don't forget the amazing providers, the Fifth Stripe Podcast, which is Oliver Long, Alan Villacorta, Brandon Mullins,
Professor.
Roberto Hivas. We got Mr. Austin Weber, and we got Ricky Ricardo in the background. We're doing big things. We're going nationwide, and it's going to be a beautiful thing.
Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your grandma. They don't wanna listen.
Don't tell your grandma.
It's the Fifth Stripe Podcast. Whoa!